to PGSN and our coverage of the Pleasant Grove Vikings versus the Herriman Mustangs. We are in the first round of the UHSAA playoffs. Well, technically it's the second round. There was a bye week for both teams last week, so this is both of their first games. Pleasant Grove and Herriman, we have a pregame for you coming up right now.
Welcome to First and 10, the Vikings pregame show.
The Pleasant Grove Vikings take on the Herriman Mustangs today in the second round of the state playoffs. The Vikings come into this game 8-2 after a very successful regular season, and the Mustangs come in 5-5 with a little bit of an underwhelming performance during the regular season. Last week or 2 weeks ago, both teams had a bye week to open up the playoffs. The Vikings lost to Lehigh 35-28, a valiant effort at the end, looking for that last-second touchdown, and ultimately they ran out of time. And then Corner Canyon dismantled Herriman 45-24. And that leads us to this week for the Vikings and the Mustangs. The winner of today's game will face the winner of the Farmington Phoenix and the Skyridge Falcons. The game will take place at the exact same time as our game does today.
Yeah, and looking at those two teams' records, like 8-2 versus 5-5. 5-5 is just 500. Like, that is a perfectly balanced winning percentage. I don't know how the Herriman ended in their bracket, like in their seeding, I guess. But I know that Pleasant Grove is 5 or 4. They're 4.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove is 5th for the seeding. So that puts the Mustangs at 13, and then Skyridge is 4, Lehigh is 3, and then your top two, 1 and 2, is American Fork and Corner Canyon, respectively.
And so we're going to, injury update here. Carson is supposed to be at full strength this game after kind of messing up his knee a little bit at the Skyridge game, playing against Lehigh, struggled a little bit there, and then having that game off, obviously. And then Levi Bezant is doubtful after his dislocated knee injury at American Fork a few weeks ago.
Yeah, they're hoping to have Levi back next week if they advance. He's a big run stopper, and that would be huge for Pleasant Grove. No matter which team they play, Skyridge and Farmington both love to move the ball on the ground, so having Levi in the middle there would be huge. Pleasant Grove was missing Levi for their game against Skyridge. He did play for the 18-0 victory against Farmington in Week 1. Let's talk a little bit about the quarterback that the Vikings are going to be facing this week. Let's talk about Freddie Teai.
Yeah, he is extremely talented for Herriman. He does everything Carson does, but his numbers are honestly a little bit better. Super good arm, really talented with his legs, can run super fast. His footwork is amazing. He's able to get around any opposition that he sees on the field.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, most of Herriman's offense is by Teai. He's their leading rusher, their leading passer. Can't be their leading receiver, but kind of very similar to the way Carson plays for this Vikings team. He's their leading passer, leading rusher, very involved in that offense. And I'm expecting the Vikings to have a good plan to try and shut him down, whether that's blitzing or running a quarterback spy, just something to get to Freddie early and kind of rattle him here in Pleasant Grove.
Yeah. Extremely talented wide receiver core around him. The Vikings defensive backs will have to make an impact tonight.
And specifically, I'm going to be looking at Gabe McCoy and Bronco Winterton, the corner and the safety for Pleasant Grove, to really step up and make a huge impact against these. They are really talented. One of Herriman's wide receivers is ranked 11th in the state in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. So a lot to shut down on that front.
Yeah, well, also Sean Cottle was ranked in our region as one of the best defensive backs. And I was talking to him this weekend, and as I was talking to him, he was kind of talking about the bye week and how important it was for the team. And I was like, are you guys practicing very much? He said, no, they kind of just did some conditioning, like little runs and stuff. Nothing too big, because in the end, I'm pretty sure that they thought resting was more important than practicing, because they know their plays, they're in the playoffs, and they just had to take advantage of that bye week that other teams will not have. So
yeah, I'm sure the coaches were very focused on coming up with a game plan to stop Teai and these wide receivers, but the players got a little bit to rest, a little bit of time to rest their bodies. Now, how is Pleasant Grove going to go and attack this Herriman team, both on offense and defense, to try and win this game?
Just got to play their brand of offense, just kind of similar thing that they've been doing. I don't really know, if they should keep running the ball as much. They have been kind of running the ball to no avail sometimes. It does work occasionally, and for instance, been able to play bully ball to get in through there. But seeing how Pleasant Grove played on that last drive against Lehigh, just quick pass and then just run it from the pass as much as you can. And, not necessarily running out of bounds to stop the clock, but what they were doing there was exceptional. They got down the field very quickly. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then defensively, this defense just has to step up like they did for the majority of the season. This is a really, really talented Herriman team, which we've brushed on a lot so far. But really getting to Herriman, something I thought was interesting, in Herriman's 5 wins, there were only stats for 3 of them. In those 3 games, Te'ai was only sacked 6 times. In their 5 losses, which we have stats for all 5 of them, he was sacked 21 times. So getting to Te'ai and rattling him early will be a big step in the right direction for this Vikings team. And then like you were saying about that rushing game, there's a big running back for Pleasant Grove. Last week's player of the game, our boy Tua, or as I like to call him, Threa, with the 3 touchdowns, or Zeus. Tua Wolfgram won our player of the game last week. He had 3 touchdowns. He had 9 rushes for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then defensively, he had a pick 6 for Pleasant Grove. So a really, really talented game. This is back-to-back player of the games for Wolfgram. And we're going to see what impact he can make against this Herriman team tonight.
Yeah, see, his impact on the game has just been amazing. Just seeing what he's been able to do for us. He kind of came into the spot that Matt Morris was in earlier in the season. But, enough of that. We got an important game ahead of us. So
absolutely, it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
And hopefully the Vikings can move on to see the Falcons or the Phoenix next week.
Will the Vikings move on to the quarterfinals, or will the Mustangs pull out a shocking upset to take down the Vikings in Pleasant Grove?
Find out next on PGSA.
Grove and Herriman facing off today for the first time since 2017, which was a Herriman victory in the exact same situation, the second round of the playoffs. The starting QB that game for the Herriman Mustangs, Blake Freeland, and that might be a recognizable name if you're a BYU or Indianapolis Colts fan. He was an offensive lineman for the Cougars, and now he is one of the highest rated rookies in the league playing for the Indianapolis Colts. So
that is super cool. I like that a lot.
2017 was the last time these 2 teams faced off.
And we're looking at these 2 teams coming into this game. Obviously, Herriman rated number 12 in the state, and Pleasant Grove being number 5. After Pleasant Grove went 8-2 for the season, and Herriman went 5-5, so exactly 500 here. And we talked about it a lot in the pregame show, but looking at a lot of these wins, Pleasant Grove started off just so hot. They were winning every game by a very significant amount.
7-0 was how they started this season. And
yes.
then they ended 1-2. But those 2 losses were nothing to be too upset about. The 2 teams they lost to, American Fork is the 1 seed, and Lehigh is the 3 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, and so we're looking at this here. We beat Farmington 18-0, Weber 40-14, Granger 41-21, Layton 31-14, West Jordan 34-7. These were all Viking victories, by the way. Lone Peak 24-19. That one was a nail biter right in the end with a fumble that was recovered by
Pleasant Grove.
It was Pleasant Grove. We couldn't really tell who it was. It looked like Tua Wolfgram for a minute, but it wasn't in the end.
I think that's where the credit went on Max Preps, was it went to Tua Wolfgram. And speaking of those Lone Peak Knights, I'm going to cut in really quick. Pleasant Grove, you're looking at the playoff picture here. A couple games were started before ours. Number 2, Corner Canyon, is up 49-0 on Layton. So you can probably write in pen. You can put them in the quarterfinals. And then the Lone Peak Knights, the 10-seeded Knights, took down Mountain Ridge 14-3. That game has gone final. So Lone Peak and Corner Canyon will meet in the quarterfinals in Draper next week. Those are teams that Pleasant Grove won't see until the semis, of course. actually, it would be the championship that Pleasant Grove would see either of those teams. Those are the 2 games that are finished. We'll keep you updated, especially we're looking at that Skyridge-Farmington game right above Pleasant Grove.
It's huge. If Farmington wins, then Pleasant Grove gets another game at home in the playoffs. But obviously, if Skyridge wins, them being a seed above us, they will get home court advantage.
And no matter what, Pleasant Grove will have a rematch of a regular season game if they win this game. So they have the chance, if everything goes right, where every single game in the playoffs besides this first one could be a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And that would not be the worst thing for Pleasant Grove. Last season, teams' records in playoff games that were rematches, and this is the record of the team who won the game during the regular season, was 3-2. So still toss-up. It's very hard to beat a team twice in one season, and it would be really hard to beat Skyridge and American Fork and Lehigh or Lone Peak twice in the regular season. Of course, they did fall to Lehigh and American Fork, but very, very tough schedule. Also, Weber and Davis are facing off. They're about 56 minutes into their game. Of course, this is another outcome that Pleasant Grove will not see until the finals if it were to come to fruition. But the Wildcats are up 7 to the Warriors.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to say something real quick.
No.
This might be a little bit inappropriate on stream, but Alan, you're a moron. How could you possibly make that mistake? 9 weeks later.
I second-guessed myself.
It's been 9 weeks since we played.
For those that don't know.
Since we played Weber, where Weber State is the Wildcats, and he called them the Wildcats the whole game.
For a half. It was a half.
It was a half, and maybe half of a quarter after that. So you got a decent amount of time that he called them the Wildcats, but they are called the Warriors
on the Davis Darts. So that's what we're looking at right now. As we are 3 minutes away from kickoff, it doesn't feel like it. I think most of the Vikings fans might have not gotten the memo that the game starts at 6.
We might get a surplus of fans coming in pretty soon here. But yeah, Vikings student section is. It's not as small as Herriman. Herriman is
a substantial drive.
It's looking like there's a significant 12 students here.
It is a rather big drive. So the Pleasant Grove Vikings and the Herriman Mustangs. Here come your Vikings. For Pleasant Grove, you have number. I'm actually not sure which mic I am. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Just give me a second so I can make sure that you guys can. And you can. Okay, so for Pleasant Grove, Tanner Blake, of course, Matt Morris, Bronco Winterton, and Kale McCoy are your flag carriers. So Vikings with kind of the same squad they've been rocking out the whole time. And then the Herriman Mustangs, Reddy Teai, the offense, and the team come out onto the field. We're ready for some playoff football here in Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove Vikings, Herriman Mustangs. We're getting ready right now as we will have the national anthem, and then the game will begin. Thank you for standing by with us. The Vikings and the Mustangs getting ready to go here at Vikings Field. It is a beautiful, just an absolutely beautiful day out here for us. I'm actually going to pop open this window right in front of us. How awesome it is going out here. Perfect football weather. I know the players love it, and I know that I love it. So, Pleasant Grove will receive the kick. The Mustangs are going to kick off to open up this ball game. Pleasant Grove sends Cale McCoy and Riker Mickelson back just as they have done all season 2. Great success. To my knowledge, we haven't had a kickoff return for a touchdown, but Pleasant Grove has not had any problems with the kick returns this season. Players have been smart to let it go over their heads and fall into the end zone when necessary. So, the Vikings get ready to receive 2 weeks ago to conclude the regular season. This is a Herriman team that fell to a great team in Corner Canyon, 45-24. And that concluded their 5-5 season. The kicker for the Mustangs. The kicker for the Mustangs, I think I've had the wrong mic on the whole time, is Braden McDonald. Excuse me. That was Amaj Hagan, as the kick is going to be fielded at the 5 by Riker Mickelson. He's going to bring it up past the 25. Almost broke free, but he gets up to the 35-yard line. A touchdown-saving tackle by who I believe is Carter Kessler. He kept Riker Mickelson from opening up the playoffs with a boom for these Vikings. It's 0-0 here as we sort of welcome you into our broadcast booth.
So sorry about my...
I'm Alan Judson. I'm here with
Jack Barnard.
Jack Barnard.
I have returned after a little bit of a
hiatus.
Gander, if you will.
As Carson Rasmussen is going to have trips on his... It's going to be play action. First play, throw it out to Cale McCoy. He's going to try and find the edge, and he does. A great block by Bronco Winterton. And Cale McCoy opens up the ball game with a gain of about 6 to make it 2nd down and 4. The Vikings have kind of turned away from the run the last couple weeks, especially against Skyridge, who has an amazing defensive line. Vikings are a little undersized on the offensive line. They've done a great job all season, but Pleasant Grove decided to turn to the air more in that Skyridge game, and that's really what led them in the overtime victory. Here's Rasmussen looking left, and it gets batted down at the line. He was looking for Bronco Winterton.
Yeah, after Levi Besant went down against American Fork, their defense was also weakened, but they were been able to show that they're still able to get it done with the defense out here.
Is out today. You might also notice that you have not seen Aiden Franson, and he is going to be sitting this game out, looking to come back next week if Pleasant Grove can win this game. Rasmussen's going to be empty.
Catch snap real low. Going to be caught. Not quite. Looked like it for a second. They're going to put their punting team out, and that is going to end the Vikings' first drive down the field right at the 40-yard line.
That was a great blitz. You'll see number 34 at the bottom of your screen back off a little bit and come on a little bit of a delayed blitz, finds the hole in between the center and the left guard, gets straight to Carson, and that's what resulted in maybe a little bit of a poorer throw than we're used to, and that brings out first-team all-region punter Gabe McCoy, one of the best punters in the state. That's
there he
another
goes.
Good rush. As fair catch is called, and he lets it drop behind him. The Vikings are going to down the ball at about the 12-yard line, so that is where Freddie Teai and the Mustangs offense will take the ball. Vikings only lost 32 seconds of clock on that drive. And number 34 for Herriman, who just had a great sequence, was Samoa Brown.
I'm really quite keen to see how Fred Teai does in this game. As we said in the pregame show, it's just kind of, if you look at him and Carson comparison, like it truly is like he's just a little bit better in most aspects, except for rushing touchdowns, which Carson has more of this year, with 12. I'm pretty sure.
So you'll see Teai in the backfield here. Herriman's big quarterback. He's going to take the snap. It's going to be a quarterback draw, and he's going to get a gain of about 0 on that play. And like we were saying about the stats between these two quarterbacks, Carson Rasmussen has struggled the last couple games. You've seen his completion percentage dip. It was at 64% 2 weeks ago, and it's fallen since then. And then passing-wise, Carson really didn't turn to the arm until a couple games in, and Te'ai has been slinging it all season and doing it very well, as you can see with that 24-7 touchdown-interception ratio for Te'ai and this Herriman offense. And then the rushing yards is also something Te'ai excels at. Play action, he's going to fake the handoff and throw the screen out wide.
Going to be brought down about a gain of 4 on that play. Going to bring it to 2 and 6.
Similar 3rd down and 6. Similar to the success that Pleasant Grove saw on that screen play, yardage-wise. And then, as you were saying, Jack, the only thing that Carson bests Te'ai in is rushing touchdowns. Carson has 12 to Te'ai's 9.
Yeah, so really they're super close in a lot of aspects, but
they're both very, very talented quarterbacks. I'm excited to see them duel it out today in this one. I think that could be the deciding factor of the game is which quarterback plays better.
3rd and 6 here.
Te'ai sends a man in motion. That's Caden Hansen, his big receiver. It's going to be a quarterback draw, and they tried that twice to really no avail. I would not be surprised to see Herriman turn to the quarterback draw and some quarterback runs with Te'ai a lot, but did not particularly succeed on that first drive, getting a net gain of 2 on the 2 attempts. So Pleasant Grove goes 3 and out, and then Herriman looks like they go 3 and out, looking to punt. Herriman's punter is Wyatt Martin, I believe. Don't have the best view from up here, but
it's going to go about 10 more yards than expected, and it's going to land at the 40-yard line.
That looked like a baseball that came off the bat at 110 miles per hour. The line drive punt from Herriman sets Pleasant Grove up in a little worse field position than we originally expected. A good punt. Something we'll see a lot of in this game, as I was talking about earlier. Gabe McCoy is extremely talented on this Vikings side, and then, as you saw from that kick, a lot of power on that leg. Here's Rasmussen for the 2nd time today. He's going to keep it himself on the option play, and
he's going to get brought down. Going to be, gain of no yards.
You'll see that was an option play. He had the option to hand it off to Matt Morris or keep it himself. Looks like the better option might have been to give it to Matt Morris. Carson kept it himself. It's going to be 2nd down and 10. Trips side for Rasmussen as Tanner Blake is the head.
If anybody well, I'm not receiving his mic monitoring in my headset.
Rasmussen
Carson, huge pass.
Deep.
Going to be way over for Makai Peterson. So incomplete, going to go 3 and 10 here. And
last drive, actually.
Yeah.
And hopefully we don't see the same thing here. Or at least as a Pleasant Grove fan, you're hoping you don't see the same thing here.
Absolutely. And really just like a fan of how well a quarterback can perform.
Carson comes out in the split back formation. So 2 running backs on each side for him. The Vikings are going to put them both in pass protection. Rasmussen slinging it over the middle. He's got Sean Cottle, and it's
almost
dropped.
Caught just of Sean Cottle. He was stopped by Trey Johnson.
Hacks the hole in the zone, and ultimately Sean Cottle just can't come to save a big 1st down for the Vikings. So Gabe McCoy out to punt once again. We're only 3 minutes into this ball game. We're about to have the 4th possession of it. McCoy takes a snap, comes off his left foot once again, and it's going to be fielded, a fair caught, at the 21-yard line by Caden Hansen. As I was talking about Caden Hansen, he's a record setter for this Herriman team. He has 12 receiving touchdowns this season. That's 1st in Mustang history, and 1,053 receiving yards this season, also 1st in Mustang history. But don't just look at Hansen. Noah Malloy is another big piece of this Herriman team, who's 2nd all-time in receiving yards and 2nd all-time in touchdowns. He's also on this team. So Te'ai has been prospering, and so have his receivers. They've been munching. As you can see, Te'ai also leads Herriman in a couple stats in the single season stats in Herriman history.
He's going to find a bit of a hole here. Going to break through. My goodness, he's going to run it.
I don't see any flags, but I see Matyra Brown chasing him down.
Gets him down. Fred Teai makes huge.
Inside the 20, you'll see him find that hole. A little bit of a chip block on Wolfgram. He made a great play. And now that brings Teai. Good play by Matyra Brown to not give up and keep chasing him down, but Teai's got wheels, and we saw it on that play. It's the third time they've tried the quarterback draw, and it was a huge success. Teai is going to have someone in the backfield with him.
So no wonder he has almost as many rushing touchdowns. I mean, I thought that was kind of unique to Carson this season, especially in the first few games. He hit a lot of rushing touchdowns.
The running back for Herriman is McCray Parker. As Teai is going to look to the air, looking left, looking end zone, throwing end zone. And it's incomplete. That pass confuses me a little bit because James Manning looked wide open at the goal line, but Teai probably has better vision than I do on that field. So incomplete on first down, makes it 2nd down and 10 inside the red zone for this Herriman team. It's the first time a team has been this close, and we've seen the Vikings maybe be a little scared to kind of kick field goals this season. Herriman is not that way. And Maj Hagen is 7 for 9 with a season long of 42. So definitely a position where if Herriman gets to 4th down here, they would not be scared to punt. Vikings show blitz, and they do blitz, and it's picked up well by the Herriman offensive line. Teai dancing around.
Gonna get through.
Now he dances right, throws end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Touchdown for Herriman.
Freddie Teai, the magician, hits James Manning. What a great play by Teai, as we'll look at that one more time. You can see him dancing around in the pocket, steps left, decides he doesn't have anything there, starts to roll out right. Wolfgram's on his tail, and he just makes a pinpoint throw on James Manning in the end zone. So that's going to send out Hagen for the PAT for this Herriman team as they strike first to make it 6-0 Mustangs. As Caden Hansen is going to be the holder. And it goes through the uprights. So it's 7-0 Herriman with 8:08 remaining here in the first quarter. Vikings have a deficit. We're going to try and overcome it here. So defensively, what did you see from Pleasant Grove on that drive that might be something that Coach Walkenhorst is going to talk to them about when they get to the sideline?
I think that it was simple mistakes that turned into huge plays for Herriman here. Like it was just a little hole that was made to have Frederick Teai make that giant run down the field, and I just think that they could just clean it up a little bit. Maybe after being gone for 2 weeks, they just need to get back in the roll of things. I know that they didn't practice very hard over their bye week because it was more beneficial for them to rest after such an intense season. So I think that that's really just what Pleasant Grove can do here is just kind of clean up how they've been playing and, try to make an offensive run that isn't just 3 and out.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple plays there. The long quarterback keeper for Teai, as here's the kick by Hagen. It's a little bit of a squib kick. It's going to be fielded by Matyra Brown. He's going to pick it up and run with it. They're going to say his knee was down as he fielded the ball, so he's going to be back at the 25-yard line. The quarterback keeper for Teai, the draw that netted them so many yards, Tua Wolfgram almost got in on that play, and then there was a great block by the left guard that got him down on the ground and set Teai free. And then on that touchdown, too, Wolfgram was kind of on Teai's tail. So I'd look at Wolfgram for the rest of this game as someone who could be a big difference maker. He's in the backfield here for Rasmussen, and they're going to give it to him. And he's going to go nowhere. Gain of maybe 1 on first down. Makes it 2nd down and 9 for this Pleasant Grove offense as they're searching for ways to get yards right now.
And that's kind of what you were saying earlier, that we kind of have gone out of the habit of using run plays as much. And I think that's one of the reasons is that we were just doing a lot of plays that was just a run to no avail, just straight up into a giant pile of linemen. And that was with Aiden Franson a lot. He was able to play bully ball a lot earlier this season, especially
Rasmussen
against
looks pass and gets it to the first down. Cranston is someone that Pleasant Grove is missing in this game.
It's Makai Peterson.
He went out with injury early last week against the Pioneers. Did not return in that game and is not playing today. They're hoping to have him back next week, as is the case with Levi Bezant as well. Except for Levi Bezant was injured in the first quarter against American Fork in September. As Rasmussen's going to be empty, nobody with him in the backfield.
Trips on the left. Single on the right. Going to put Kale McCoy in motion here.
And they're going to throw it to him.
Kale.
As he's going to cut inside and try to cut it upfield. That was a great play design by Pleasant Grove. They saw Kale coming across the middle, and Herriman didn't bring anyone with him. So that told Pleasant Grove and Carson that they were in zone defense, and they had the 3 receivers to block, and so that left Kale McCoy wide open in the flat, and it was a great read by Carson to get it to him to make it 2nd down and 5. Rasmussen's going to be empty once again. Takes the snap, looks right, throws right very quickly. Bronco Winterton gets the 1st down. That's another great use of zone. You had Bronco Winterton and Kale McCoy both just find holes in that zone, kind of sit in them, be there for Carson. Whichever one he wanted to pick, he chose Bronco in this case, and it netted Pleasant Grove a 1st down.
Yeah, and I love what I see there. It's kind of the same way that they were playing in desperation against Skyridge, and how they were kind of playing a little bit discombobulated the whole game, and then right when it came down to it, they were playing with just quick passes to make some yardage.
Here's Rasmussen on another pass that gets batted at the line.
Not sure who was going to go to. It looks like there was Kale and James Clark that were open, but it wasn't really clear who the ball was going to go to before it was hit.
Makes it a 2nd down and 10. As you'll see, Herriman looks like they're running a cover 2. You can see that with the high safety. So that leaves the deep threat exposed for Pleasant Grove, or exposed for Herriman. It gets something Pleasant Grove could kind of take a shot at, as now Herriman brings 3 men out wide to the right, and they shift another man wider.
Got Tanner Blake, Kale McCoy. He's going to pass to Kale McCoy. He's going to run it again. Make it
Stays
through.
on his feet.
My goodness. And he's able to make the 1st down.
A missed tackle by Parker Wilcox or Ty Carmen. I'm not sure which one it is. There's 2 41s, and they're both linebackers on this Herriman team. So one of the two, either Ty Carmen or Parker Wilcox, just could not bring Kale McCoy down. He did a great job keeping his balance and staying on his feet, and it resulted in a Pleasant Grove 1st down. I would expect him to take a shot here. As Rasmussen is looking deep, he's going to throw it short.
Kale again, just not going to quite get that.
And that was the same 41 again. Not sure which one it was, either Wilcox or Carmen, that was on that hit on Rasmussen. So he's hit the turf twice now today, neither of them being sacks, thankfully. And with 5:35 left in the 1st quarter, Pleasant Grove still searching for points. They've kind of got their first well put together drive here as they send twins out on both sides. We call that an ace formation. As James Clark goes in motion. Carson takes a snap. He's going to immediately roll out right. He's going to shoot
Caught
it.
by James Clark for, after all that running, really just a gain of about 4 or 3.
As you'll see, once again, Pleasant Grove tried to, well, Herriman showed their hand, showed they were in zone defense. Pleasant Grove has done a great job of using motion to kind of help Carson out a little bit and help him read the defense. He's alone in the backfield here. Pleasant Grove gets a Mustang to jump. Put a little too much horsepower on that one. Went over the line a little too early. Now they're going to take him off. That was Samoa Brown, I believe.
Now in a much better situation, 3-3 instead of 3-8. I still say don't count out Sean Cottle there on the left side. We also have James Clark doing good stuff, and Makai Peterson on the right side as well.
I would expect to see Carson look for Tanner Blake here. He's kind of been Mr. Trustable for Rasmussen throughout the season, but today it's been Kale McCoy that he's been looking at to do some dump-off routes. We'll see where Rasmussen goes on this one. Maybe he'll take off with his legs. Who knows? 3rd and 3 here.
We have Bronco here on the left side.
Gets pressured.
Oh, my goodness.
And he is going to take off. Flag thrown.
Play.
Rasmussen gets inside the 20.
He gets pushed at, finally down at about the 16-yard line.
It was Jacob Prescott who made the tackle. I think that's a face mask penalty, but I'm not sure. It could be a holding.
On Herriman?
You'll see a lot of holdings. Yeah, on Herriman. You'll see a lot of holdings when quarterbacks start to take off, so it could be that. And it is a face mask penalty on the Mustangs, so that's going to give Pleasant Grove half the distance to the goal. from the end of the run. First down for Pleasant Grove,
At
and
the
they are
8-yard line. My goodness. That is an extremely better situation than we've been.
Yeah, it's a very productive play for Pleasant Grove. It's the 12-yard line that the ball gets placed at.
Taking Mekhi Peterson off, putting Kale on with Sean Cottle. They're going to the right side here.
As you were talking about Sean Cottle, he's kind of been, well, you think he's been underused this season. He was a big, big piece for Pleasant Grove last season, and then he's kind of seen his production take a dip, but that's because Rasmussen has found 5 or 6 just extremely, extremely good receivers. As they'll hit Kale McCoy on that screen again, and Herriman reads it like a book.
Pretty much. I beg to differ. Really, last year was Nick Staffieri was just hitting Cannon Hale very frequently. Sean Cuttle did get plenty of catches, but he wasn't utilized as much as he could have been. But I think that just Carson having such a plethora of amazing receivers.
There are so many guys that we've seen show out this season, and so many Vikings who made the first team all-region. Kale McCoy made it as a wide receiver. Tanner Blake made the second team as a wide receiver. Just looking for names. Mekhi Peterson made the first team as a wide receiver.
We
As I think Mekhi Peterson is not playing today.
got timeout by Pleasant Grove. I'm gonna be looking at it. We just didn't really have quite the right setup going. We had twins on the right, one on the left. It was maybe gonna turn into something, but I think that Walking Horse kind of sniffed something out that Herriman was planning on the defense, and so why not use the timeout? You got 4 minutes left of the first quarter here.
This is a big second down and 11 from inside the red zone. You're looking to match Herriman's score from the last drive. So,
worst case scenario, you have to kick a field goal.
Which, like I said, Pleasant Grove has been hesitant to do this season. Their leading field goal kicker is Rockwell Doman. He's 3 for 3 on the season. His season long is a 40-yarder. So that would be the ball being snapped from the 23-yard line. I believe it was Lone Peak that he made that kick, but I'm not completely sure. So Pleasant Grove has been very, very hesitant to kick field goals, been looking for touchdowns and 6 points all season. Rasmussen's going to take it, play action. Look deep, look end zone, find the end zone. Sean
Cottle. That's going to be a touchdown for the Vikings, putting 6 points on the board for them.
As we'll watch that one more time, you can see Sean Cottle just finds an empty spot in the zone. The safety for Herriman was more concerned about Kale McCoy in the corner of the end zone, kind of drifted over to him when he probably shouldn't have. And ultimately, it resulted in 6 points for Pleasant Grove. And now here's Parker Hall on to kick the extra point. He has been flawless this season. And if he doesn't make it this time, I'm going to get blamed. So
it's kind of like when Kevin Harlan said that Steph Curry hadn't missed any free throws in the whole season, and then Steph proceeded to miss the next free throw.
Yeah, I've already dug myself into the announcer's jinx hole, as there's an offsides on Herriman. So I'm just going to tell you, Parker Hall is 24 for 24 on the regular season.
They're going to put it at half the distance here, I'm pretty sure.
If I'm Pleasant Grove, this is a spot where I'm looking to be aggressive, maybe go up by a point instead of just tying the ball game. And, you're only a yard and a half away. Maybe they'll take the safe path,
though, And they're going to. PAT is good, and they're going to tie the game. 4:05 left in the first quarter. And if you were watching that replay with Sean, I just think it was funny that he caught the ball, and he was very, just kind of stood still for a second. He was and it kind of just matches like how he is in person a little bit. He just kind of keeps to himself. But when he is around his friends, then, just another player had to go up and instigate him to celebrate, very hard. So I just think that was funny. But, because, sometimes you see players just go absolutely crazy in the end zone. I mean, you've seen Tyreek Hill alone get fined a bunch of money this year because of celebrations, such as stealing a fan's phone and doing a backflip with it. So
funny story about that. There is a videographer from Utah who is Tyreek Hill's personal videographer. He went to school up in Salt Lake, and it was his phone that he took. So some Utah ties to that play, actually, is Tyreek Hill's been going off for my fantasy team this season. I love it.
Just going off for the Dolphins. I love it. It's awesome.
So here's Rockwell Doman on the line drive as well. So we've got two kickers with some powerful legs. Looks like they're playing a different sport, as now breaking free is Caden Hansen. He gets past the 30 before getting pushed out of bounds by 4, 44, and 14.
My goodness,
for
Caden
the
Hansen was
Vikings.
moving right there. It was like he had wheels for legs and a V8 engine.
Just a great job by him. That's a run back you'll want to put on the Jumbotron, as it sets Herriman up with some great field position after a touchdown drive. Pleasant Grove matched it. Now Herriman's looking to best themselves here. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Te'ai with his 4th drive of the ball game already. We've got 3:56 left in the first quarter. Both teams have kind of struggled to put together big drives. As now there's 4 receivers out on Te'ai's right side.
Well, both of them have had a 3 and out, and then as well as a touchdown drive. So
Te'ai is going to run it himself and can't quite get grabbed by Thatcher Kuhn, number 58 for Pleasant Grove. Tackle ends up being made by Trevin Gates. Te'ai's got some wheels, and Herriman has loved running with him. I'm a little confused why they haven't turned to his arm a little more. His numbers look really good from the game film I watched a couple weeks ago against the Mountain Ridge Sentinels, who are now no longer in the playoffs. He has a really, really good arm, and I expect them to kind of turn towards that probably on this drive. As the running back once again is McCray Parker. Te'ai 2nd and 1. He's going to look right. Quick pass. Finds his man, Caden Hansen. That's the man he's loved all season. His first catch of the game. 1st down and 10. Gain of about 3 or 4 for Hansen as he gets on the board to start. The Vikings look like they're running a zone as well. You can tell that by the corners and the safety. Their eyes are not necessarily locked on their man. Now they are, now that I talk about it. But looks like they've turned to man. As they have turned to man, you can tell as Bronco comes down to guard Parker. Here's Te'ai, quick pass. Good screenplay with blockers on in front of him. Jailbreak.
Kuhn
Sean
running
Cottle and
right
Thatcher
after
Kuhn make
him.
the tackle.
Sean Cottle, after being ranked as an not all state, all region defensive back.
Yeah, Sean Cottle made the first team, I believe. Yeah, first team corner. There's so many players that for the Vikings that made an all-region team that I have a lengthy list.
Is it surprising seeing how good their record was and how well their offense has been producing this year?
And the defense, too, was exceptional. They shut out Farmington week 1. Then they've had multiple teams score 10 or less points on them as Te'ai is going to take the snap and immediately roll out. He finds his man, Caden Hansen.
It's off the back of Sean Cottle.
As usually you'll see a pass interference flag thrown on that. Looked like Sean Cottle was not, as the rule states, making a play on the ball. I've talked about this a lot this season. It looked like the play was being made on the receiver, which would be a pass interference call. But
it did kind of look like he pushed Caden Hansen a little bit there, but
Vikings are sure okay with it.
Yeah, of course. And
I'm a fan of letting the boys play a little bit. That's something we kind of...
It's true. You kind of see a little less of it, as according to all the old heads. They always say, let them play. That's mostly in basketball. But in football, I'm sure it's there, too.
Coach Pierce is going to ring in Herriman's first timeout. And talking about Coach Pierce, there was an amazing story as I was doing some research for this game. Coach Pierce helped save a life over the summer. So the way that Herriman runs their football program, the varsity players practice like on what would be our field. Their varsity field, their big stadium is where they practice, and then what would be Pleasant Grove's lower field is where Herriman has their youth coaches practice. And during a youth practice, a coach collapsed while working with players on drills, and Coach Pierce and the high school team had just concluded a practice of their own, and they heard yelling, and one of the trainers quickly rushed over. And Coach Pierce, with no knowledge of what was going on, went and grabbed an AED machine and sprinted over. The youth coach had suffered a heart attack, and it was by the quick actions of the Herriman trainers as well as Coach Pierce grabbing that AED that his life was saved. It's just an amazing story coming out of Herriman. As Coach Pierce later said, quote, "For some reason, everything was just crystal clear." So, amazing story by Coach Pierce, and just a great reminder of the brotherhood that football is and how it really brings everyone together no matter the situation. as Teai. The Vikings are showing blitz as Riker Mickelson drops back into coverage, and it's Caden Hansen. Can Kale McCoy track him down? He cannot
quite get him. He runs out of bounds, though.
They're going to mark him.
It's either just barely not a first down,
so it is a first down for this Herriman team. Just a well-drawn-up play. I think the Vikings did the right thing having Riker Mickelson feign a blitz and then drop back into coverage. Just where the man he kind of went to guard was not where Teai went with the football. He went to old, reliable Caden Hansen. So
we've seen other dynamic duos like that this season.
Yeah, Dominic Overby and Jackson Roybal was a big one.
We kind of shut him down, though.
As Teai gets blitzed quickly, he's going to step up in the pocket and get brought down by 3 or 4 Vikings.
On the play.
The big ones, Trevin Gates, Thatcher Kuhn, and then Matyra Brown was in there quickly as well. Riker Mickelson also went on the tackle, as well as Tua Wolfgram. A lot of different players here. And it's going to be a holding on the Herriman offensive line. It's going to scoot him back 10. And for some teams, you look at that and you say, I'll take the 3rd and 6 over the 2nd down and 10. But for this team, they have so much firepower that you kind of have to take the yards before you give them the extra down. And it's going to be a 2nd down and 20. I apologize. It's a spot of the foul penalty, apparently. I was not aware of that. But at the 47-yard line is where Teai and the offense will be for 1st down and 20. Teai and his explosive legs have been kind of Herriman's offense all day today, and then finding Caden Hansen as well. I'm just waiting for us to call Noah Malloy's name. He's been huge for this Herriman team all season. As it's Taylor Hatch in motion, Teai's going to keep it on the quarterback keeper.
Oh my goodness, just barely not brought down by Tua Wolfgram.
Matyra Brown gave him a little bit of a shoulder to get him out of bounds. But, man, Teai has some wheels, and he is really, really good at breaking tackles. 1:45 left in the first quarter. We're all knotted up at 7 here in the 2nd round of the state playoffs. Teai is going to continue to have Parker in the backfield with him. We have not called Parker's name all game, at least for a rush. It's usually been Samisi Fafita who's been the running back for. As Teai calling an audible, Vikings show blitz. They bring 4, now they bring 5. Thatcher, excuse me, that's Trevin Gates.
Bring him down,
and
44.
Thatcher Kuhn, who combine for the sack. And like you said, 44. We've called his name so much all season. Trevin Gates has also been a record setter for this Vikings team. 10 sacks this season. That marked 10 and a half. That's tied 2nd all-time in Viking history. As you can see, it was 2013. Jaden Lynn had 14 and a half. 112 tackles, and that's even missing a couple games of stats. And then the 2-time, obviously this is the most important stat for him, the 2-time PGSN player of the game. 22 tackles, 4 sacks in one game against Granger, and then 20 tackles against AF. As Teai, they're going to pull the guard and the tackle, and there's some green grass for Parker.
He's brought down
by 44. He's just been old, reliable, kind of feeling like a Bobby Wagner in the middle of the defense. When a player gets near him, you know he's going to make that tackle. He's always where he needs to be. Trevin Gates has just been an exceptional player for this Vikings team, and that is going to count us down to the conclusion of the first quarter. So after 1, we've still got what feels like a brand new ball game with 3 quarters left. The Vikings will receive a punt coming out of the break as we still wait for the clock. Now the clock has hit 0. So after 1, 7-7 is your score in the 2nd round of the playoffs. It's Vikings, it's Mustangs, it's playoff football. We'll be back after this. As I was saying, after 1, we're all knotted up at 7 in what is becoming a beautiful night here at Viking Field. And the night is always beautifuler, more beautifuler than you, and almost anything when there's football involved. No offense, Jack. I do think, I don't know how to
What
recover
about that
from that
sunset right behind the field?
As here's the punt from the Mustangs. This one's a boomer.
Wow, my goodness.
As Bronco's going to hope it bounces into the end zone, and it does. What a lucky break for Bronco Winterton. He had no choice but to back off of it. And then a missed play by the Mustangs special teams. Started to back up.
6 guys jump on it.
He started to back up. He was hoping that it would take a nice roll, just a nice slow roll to the 1-yard line to tap it down to give Carson 99 yards to go. It ended up booming like a jet plane right into the end zone to give Pleasant Grove the ball at the 20-yard line. That's a lucky break for this Vikings team as Carson Rasmussen and the offense come out looking to take the lead.
Here's Carson. Set up. Cale McCoy on his right.
They're going to give it to Wolfgram, and a flag is thrown. I'm guessing there was a Viking that jumped early. Just for like a nice shot, and then go back to the game.
Point it up, point it up, point it up.
Wait till the next play. Just wait till the next play.
Just go back to the play. Next play, point it up to the sunset zone. Okay?
As here's Carson Rasmussen, shifts Matt Morris out to his other side, and Cale McCoy comes in. 1st and 15, Rasmussen dancing around, and he's going to end up walking into a sack.
My goodness.
He kind of got carried for a little bit to make it 2nd down. As we were talking about that sunset, you can kind of see it on your screen here.
There you go. Beautiful view of Utah Lake. Not such a beautiful lake. It's pretty gross, but it's a very good view, you know. It's a very scenic valley we live in, and it's just a moment to look and reflect on how grateful we are to live in such an awesome place like Pleasant Grove.
As back to the game really quickly, the refs are having a discussion right now. I'm not sure if they're saying maybe there was a little bit too much roughness on that Carson sack. He's been a guy who's been dealing with injuries the last couple weeks.
On his right knee.
It was a knee injury that he sustained against Skyridge. Still led the Vikings in the comeback on the bum knee. Played through it against Lehigh.
It was bad enough to the point that as soon as the game was over, Carson laid down on the field during all of the chaos that was the end of that game.
As the refs have talked about everything they want to, so it's going to be 2nd down, or excuse me, yeah, 2nd down and 16. I thought the far sideline, Herriman sideline, still hasn't marked his 1st down.
Huh.
As they do change it to 2nd down now. So 2nd down and 16. Carson lost 1 on the sack. Rasmussen takes a snap. Pass, looks right, throws over the middle. Cale McCoy is wide open. And he's got a burst of speed past the 1st down. He's going to get inside the 35-yard line. That's just another example of Pleasant Grove doing a great job of finding holes in the zone defense. Just finding a hole, sitting down, taking what they can, and in that case, they took a big gain on 2nd down. It's going to be 1st down and 10 now for this Vikings offense as they start to move just a little quicker.
Hey, 1st and 10, that's our pregame show name. Might only be a few more this season.
As Rasmussen finds James Clark on a great route, as I think he might have dropped it.
Down and
call it incomplete. I'm not sure I agree with that call. I think he fumbled, but the ref had a lot better eyes on it than we did. I'm guessing he's concluding that James Clark kind of never gained control before the ball came out. So
yeah, it's always up to referee eye, though. It's just
as Coach Walkenhorst is extremely upset on the Vikings sideline. He was yelling at a couple players, and then he's got his hands on his hips just staring at him now. Coach Walkenhorst is not a guy I'd want to get mad if I'm this Pleasant Grove offense. It looked like there was a little bit of a difficulty with substitution. They brought James Clark off and then brought Tua Wolfgram off and put James Clark back on, and ultimately Taylor, is that his first name? I don't know where that came from, actually. I've never called him Taylor Walkenhorst this season. But
well, people call him T-Walk.
It is Taylor. Okay. Ultimately, T-Walk, Coach Walkenhorst, uses his second time out of the half. So the Vikings have 1 left and the Mustangs have 2 left. As the refs are still having a discussion about something right next to Cale McCoy. I don't know if Cale McCoy is involved in the discussion or if he's just become a involuntary third person in it. But there are 3 men on Carson's right side. He's going to be alone in the backfield. Rasmussen might have got the Mustangs to flinch a little bit, but not jump enough to warrant a penalty. So now the Vikings are going to change their signs. Let's just hope there wasn't a Michigan staffer on the other side of the field against Lehigh. As Rasmussen is going to take the snap, look over the middle, throw over the middle. He's Bronco in the seam. And he overthrew him.
Barely not there. Almost had kind of a one-handed catch like Odell Beckham Jr.
Bronco Winterton ran that play perfectly. You can see Herriman's running a zone defense, and Bronco just exploits it and just finds a wide open gap. I think there might have been a miscommunication defensively on whether they were running man or zone.
He was just so close to being able to catch that. If he had, well, it's hard to say if he just ran faster, but you know, he was about 1 or 2 steps away.
He would have been gone
from
sure.
being comfortable to catch that. Here's
Rasmussen
Carson again looking,
flushed
getting
out.
pressure.
He's going to throw it, and it's caught
by Mackay
Peterson.
My goodness.
A dog to get to the 50-yard line. He caught that.
Between 3 Mustangs.
Just, first of all, a foolish throw by Carson, to put it simply.
True.
That's not a throw you want to make.
Yeah, and after rotating outside to the right so far.
As they're going to give it to Matt Morris, a little bit of a bruiser back.
Run through there, kind of moves away, loses a bit of momentum, but does get the first down. So what can you argue about?
Vikings
Matt
are going
Morris,
to start to pick it up.
Kind of a player that you saw a lot in the first part of the season and was kind of replaced a little bit by Tua, but now he's back apparently. Hands it off to Matt again, and he's going to be brought down.
Gain of about 3 to make it 2nd down and 7.
He almost had it, but let me look for him. Hold on. Tala Wong got him right by the ankle, just barely.
A gain of 3 is still exactly what you want on 1st down to make it 2nd down and 7. Short side of the field for the Vikings is the right side. The lone man out there is Sean Cottle. That's Matt Morris still in the backfield for Pleasant Grove. As Rasmussen takes a snap, they're going to give it to him for a 3rd straight play, and he's going to get a gain of maybe 1. He's going to stick at the line of scrimmage to keep it a 3rd down and 7.
After getting very
6, 3rd down and 6.
After kind of not running the run play very much. Sorry, they put the camera on us for a second, and my hair was looking mad weird.
That's us, guys. 9:30 left.
That was us. That's really us.
Here in the 2nd quarter.
Carson looking for the play that Walkenhorst is telling him to do. It's kind of a weird way to word it, but
as Rasmussen on 3rd down and 6 is going to drop back. Find Sean Cottle.
My goodness.
He's going to hold on as there were some pesky Mustang hands in there. It was Trey Johnson, the corner on that route, was trying to strip it from Cottle at the end, and the Vikings continue to go hurry up, not giving Herriman a chance to substitute as Rasmussen looks pass again.
Caught by Sean again.
Might have to spell Cottle differently after this game and make it C-A-U-G-H-T as 2nd down and 2.
That is very hilarious. I thought you were just going to say D-A-W-G as in a dog on the field going crazy.
As here's Rasmussen. Blitzed quickly, finds Matt Morris on the screen.
Almost gets...
Just gets to the line of scrimmage to make it a 3rd down and 2. That was a risky pass. Pleasant Grove had a screen pass intercepted last week against Lehigh. Carson threw 2 last week, and then
they're putting Tua, Mackay, and Matira on the field, taking out Sean and Kale.
8:15 remaining here in the 1st half.
All 3 of these guys, they're going to put... Oh, Mackay's back out there? Okay, whatever.
As they're going to give it to Tua up the middle. I think he got it. He did get it.
That must be the 1st down. There we go. 1st and 10. Amazing.
The 12-yard line, the Vikings move.
Playing really smart right now. I'm really enjoying.
This is kind of the first time all season that they've...
We're looking at Mackay Peterson here on the very right side.
as they're going to give it to Rasmussen's going to keep it, trying to find the edge. And he finds a little bit of an edge, maybe gets a yard.
Not quite. Tua did kind of fake him out. He was able to break through, though.
As Rasmussen's legs have been something we've seen a lot this season, and I don't know if he's trying to match Te'ai on the other side. That would be pretty hard based off how he's played in the first quarter rushing-wise, but Carson's arm has been a lot more at use than Te'ai has used his. But
They almost got Herriman to jump there on the hard count.
so here's Rasmussen, moves Wolfgram to his left hip.
Still have
They're gonna
gonna
give it to
run
him
it with Wolfgram.
For sure this time, as he gets to the 5-yard line, just inside of it.
I think a 4 right there.
It's going to be 3rd down and 2. As I'm sure this is 4-down territory for Pleasant Grove.
Absolutely. I don't think kicking the field goal here is the right decision.
As 7:25 and counting left here in the first half. This is an explosive Herriman offense, so points here would be huge for Pleasant Grove.
Taking Kale off. Again, don't count out Mackay over on the right side, but there's
An
also
ISO
Tanner Blake.
formation. They give it to Wolfgram. He gets initially stopped at the line. Second effort is going to get him maybe a yard. They're going to give him a yard, so it's going to be 4th down and 1.
You just got to run it like a 2-point conversion here, you know.
As they are going to go for it. It's 4th down and 1 from the 4-yard line. Vikings just need a yard to get a fresh set of downs. They're going to come out in the same I formation. I would expect it to go to Braby. He's the fullback. And Carson's going to keep it, get pressured quickly. He's going to have to take it himself. And a jump stop.
Oh, my goodness. Intercepted.
And then a sidearm. That was a mistake by Carson. All he has to do is dive forward.
And he would have had the first down.
I mean, either play is a highlight. That was a sidearm bullet to Mackay Peterson, but
yeah,
threw it into coverage and ultimately just did not end up how he wanted it to. Just dancing around and no, I'm trying to think of a dancing analogy. Just dancing around and no success for him. Maybe trips over his ankles a little bit.
Bars. I like it.
As Weber, the Warriors, and Davis are knotted up at 7 in the 3rd quarter.
Do we have is Farmington started yet or no?
Farmington has started. We'll check on that one after this play as Te'ai and the Mustang offense start backed up in their own territory at the 4-yard line, but they're still knotted up at 7s. Herriman looking for the lead as Te'ai takes a snap, going to keep it himself. He's going to get a gain of 4 or 5 as the Vikings are starting to sniff that out easier and easier. So a gain of about 1 on first down makes it 2nd down, and they're going to give him 2. 2nd down and 8 from the 6-yard line. As Skyridge is up 14-0 on Farmington in the 2nd quarter. Te'ai takes a snap, looks left, looks right now. He's going to throw right. The pass was jumped by Mackay Peterson, but he just got his hand on it, batted it down. 5:38 left, 3rd and 8.
He threw it to Old Faithful, Caden Hansen.
Again, I'm still waiting to call Noah Malloy. He's somebody who's put up numbers this season. He wears number 13 for this Herriman team. He's an extremely talented receiver. He's actually off your screen on the right side, being guarded by Gabe McCoy. As Te'ai starts to roll out quickly, throws it over the middle, and the pass is defended by Riker Mickelson. The 2nd team all-region linebacker. 4th and 8, and the Mustangs are going to be forced to punt. It might be a little uncomfortable to punt this close to their own end zone, but usually punters require about 7 or 8 yards, and he's going to have about 15. The punter for the Mustangs, who I believe is Mitchell Keesaw. He is going to be all the way in the back of his own end zone, though. So, it's 23 is what it looks like to me, and we don't have a 23 on our roster. So, as the snap almost caused him to step out the back, As it goes over the head of Cale McCoy, he's going to field it running backwards. He's going to change his momentum quickly and get past the 50-yard line to give Pleasant Grove good field position to start. That was an almost disastrous punt for the Mustangs, then an almost disastrous punt for the Vikings, but ultimately ends up about 6s.
Yeah, pretty much. So here we are, Pleasant Grove, right after that run that just ended right on the 4-yard line, gonna start up again after a 3-and-out just by not Farmington. What am I saying?
Herriman.
Yes.
I'm
the
sure
Mustangs.
Coach Walkenhorst is telling Carson to just play fundamental football. I think Pleasant Grove will be very happy if Carson uses all 5:21 of this clock and takes the Vikings into halftime with the lead. As Rasmussen's going to start by the pass. He's going to look deep.
My
Tanner Blake.
Goodness.
And
Oh, my.
out
Almost
of
caught.
the outstretched hands. As the corner on that play was Jacob Prescott, I believe. It was Jacob Prescott for this Mustangs team. That's the second deep shot the Vikings have taken. Both of them kind of just out of reach. As 2nd down and 10 from the 47-yard line on the plus side of the field.
Got someone to kind of go.
Got him to flinch a little bit, but didn't quite get him to jump enough. As Herriman with a interesting defensive look, they blitz. Quick pass for the Vikings. It's Bronco Winterton who finds the outside and gets a gain of about 5 or 6. They're going to give him 6 to make it 3rd down and 4. So a big 3rd down for this Pleasant Grove team. If they don't get any yards, I'd say it's probably 4-down territory, as they're going to go a little bit hurry up. Rasmussen tries to get the defense to jump once again.
Into what we dubbed no man's land earlier in the season.
Yeah, kind of too close for where you don't want to punt it, but a little risky to go for it on 4th down, as Carson's going to look over the middle as it hits and a flag comes in late. That's going to be pass interference on the Mustangs. As you'll see, he's looking for Mekhi Peterson, who's in the slot at the bottom of your screen, man on man for this Herriman team. As Mekhi with a good break and then just grabbed around the shoulder by Trey Johnson. Results in what's going to be a penalty for a 1st down for Pleasant Grove. Or they call it a holding. So it's not a pass interference, it's a holding. So it might not have been on Trey Johnson.
Could have still been, though.
Yeah, but if it was on Trey Johnson for what we thought it was, then it would have been a pass interference, as Rasmussen's going to hand it off to Matt Morris, and he breaks the tackle.
Through, and then he's kind of spun around on that 2nd try, hitting him right in the knees.
A little upset with himself is what I think is, these numbers are so hard to read. I think it's Trey Johnson again who just missed the tackle. A great jump by Morris.
Two plays that didn't end in Trey Johnson's favor in a row.
Make it a 2nd down and 5 for this Vikings team from the 26.
And Cale McCoy on the right.
Just single wide receiver on each side as the Vikings are going to stay on the ground.
Matt Morris
kind of lowered his shoulder and kind of got stood up. Good defensive play by the Mustangs to make it 3rd down and medium. As the Vikings continue to hurry up a little bit, Herriman can substitute if they so desire. Doesn't look like they do. 3rd down and 5. 25 on the play clock, 4:04 on the game clock, both counting down. Rasmussen going to drop back to pass. Going to take a deep shot from Mekhi Peterson, and he's got him. Touchdown, Vikings.
They're saying no.
Well, Herriman's saying no. The refs are saying yes. +6 for number 6. 13-7
My goodness.
for the Vikings. Mekhi Peterson, what a catch. We'll watch that one more time. Oh, and now the ref is signaling incomplete. I'm not sure what caused that ref to call it incomplete, because he was a little far away from the sideline. I'm sure he got intel from a different ref to tell him that it was an incomplete pass, but now it's going to be 4th down and 5 from the 24-yard line. 4th and 3, excuse me. And the Vikings are not happy about that one. They thought they just made it a 6-point ball game with the chance to make it 7, and now their drive is on its last leg here on 4th down.
Trying to get people to jump. He can't do it. He has 3 wide receivers on the right, or on the left. Sorry,
now a timeout
I know
comes
my
in
name.
from Coach Pierce. Holding up the L's with both hands. Jack trying to figure out which direction is going which way. But Coach Pierce has kind of struggled to get his team on the page that they're wanting to be on. Rasmussen has tried that hard count a couple times today. He was extremely successful with it against Skyridge 3 weeks ago, 2 games ago, and then it worked to good success as well 2 weeks ago against Lehigh, and now they're hoping it can work against Herriman. He got one man to jump, but I think it might be to the point where coaches are seeing it enough in film that Pleasant Grove might need to use it a little less than they are. But 4th down and 3. I think Pleasant Grove will probably go with a quick pass, but they've been very confident in their run game so far today.
I'm still not sure about that calling off the touchdown. It really did look like he got his feet down in the end zone, but
yeah, we didn't have a great angle of it from where we are up here, and we don't have cameras down there.
We had 2 refs say it was good, 1 say it wasn't. All of Herriman really didn't think it was, and in the end it was called off.
As Rasmussen's going to be alone in the backfield, so if it's a run, it's going to be Carson using his legs or a sweep. As he got some flinches, but didn't get anyone to jump.
Hasn't gotten anyone to jump since that first time that he did it.
Rasmussen takes a snap, looks left. Pass rush early, finds Bronco over the middle. That's the exact same play that netted Pleasant Grove 6 points and a victory against Skyridge, and it gets them about 14 yards and a first down here against Herriman, as it's going to be 1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Carson might be the loudest clapper in the league because he gets a lot of people to at least flinch, and we can hear him very, very clearly from up here. As they're going to put one tight end on both sides of the line. Pleasant Grove very, very mindful about pass protection. And in this case, it's going to be protection for a rush as Matt Morris, the flag's thrown. He carried it all the way into the end zone, so depending on the outcome of that flag, it will be a touchdown for Pleasant Grove, 6 points. But this one might get called off as well. We'll see where the refs go with it. As it is a holding on Pleasant Grove's offensive line, so it's going to make it 1st and 20. And for the second time this drive, erase 6 points for the Vikings, or what we originally believed was 6 points, and then has kind of been pushed back a little bit. So 1st down and 20. Carson tries a little bit of a hard count. I think that one was more for the team to have them look over to the sideline as they send Cale McCoy in motion. Here's Rasmussen taking the snap. Good pickup on the blitz by Morris, and now Rasmussen starts to take off himself. He's got green grass if he wants it, and he takes it.
He's
into the end zone. Touchdown, Carson Rasmussen. Number 15 with a 20-yard rushing touchdown, his 13th on the season. That gives the Vikings a 13-7 lead with the chance to make it 14-7. Here comes Parker Hall.
My goodness.
Rasmussen.
What a great way to end that drive after 2 fake-outs of scoring.
Carson Rasmussen with the 20-yard touchdown run. Both quarterbacks have been using their legs so well today.
Maybe they ate their daily dose of huckleberries and they were able to get the energy they needed.
As that one goes through. So the Vikings up 7 with 3:13 left. Herriman's going to try to answer. And looking to, well, they will get the ball back in the second half, so they have a chance to go up a score if everything goes right for them. Te'ai and the offense. Coming up next, we'll be back on PGSN. It's Vikings 14, Mustangs 7. So Rockwell Doman, who had a little bit of a line drive kick to right center field, his second kick up, his last one. Well, his first kick, actually, it was his only one. As he's going to get ready to boot one deep for this Vikings team. It's great weather today. I was actually a little scared it was going to be cold. It was supposed to be super
Onside
cold.
kick. I'm just kidding.
as that one's booted to the end zone. Can Hansen keep it in? He steps into the end zone. So it's going to be a touchback for this Mustangs team, as Rockwell doing great work on the kick. Also doing great work in handball today in life activities, playing goalie. Was very, very sharp out there. I did score on him twice, but
Not in soccer?
in handball
Oh.
during class today. Rockwell is in my class, and he did a great job in the goal, but
I'm not going to lie. I used to be kind of nice at PE hockey. You know,
I
just
snuck a couple past him.
You would just play some good old like on the court hockey, no ice skates, and a former PG player, Bridger Hone, he was goalkeeper, and I scored about 5 times on him, and he was not happy. That's just kind of a funny memory from PE. What an interesting class for high school. You just go and play sports in the middle of the day.
It's so fun as Teai sends his running back on a wheel route, and then the pass over the middle.
Caught.
To Malcolm Johnson. It's the first time we've called his name today.
Senior, 6'7", 230 pounds.
He's a big boy out there. And
he's kind of unstoppable.
I thought he was an offensive lineman.
I also thought he was a lineman. I was like, he is big.
Or a tight end, but.
Yeah, and he's a receiver.
He's
as
got
you can see him here right now on the left side.
The bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I shouldn't say left side. I mean, it's left side for the quarterback. But.
As Parker goes in motion again, he's going to have some fun on that wheel route, as he's going to get a first down. But like I said, old reliable 44 on the tackle. Anytime someone gets near him, it's a pretty good chance he's going to get them by the legs and bring them down. But the Vikings, you know, they let that play happen. They saw Parker, excuse me. There's a player for the Vikings named Parker Rivers. So when I say Parker, that's where my name goes. They let Parker on the wheel route. Nobody went to guard him. Herriman saw it the play before when they hit Johnson, and they just went right back to it, as now the Vikings are going to have some defenders come down. They show heavy blitz, and they bring a heavy blitz as the screen pass is caught.
Thatcher Kuhn brings him down.
I'm not sure if that was an audible or if that was a play call in from Coach Pierce in the sideline, but a great call with a heavy blitz. A screen pass is usually a good diagnosis for some yards, 1st and 10.
Caden Hansen, kind of still that dynamic duo between Freddie Teai. There's Fred, Frederick, and Freddie. From what we know, his friends call him Freddie. So
he was listed as Freddie somewhere as I was doing research. It might have been his huddle or his Twitter or something, but Teai takes the snap as he's going to roll out right and then get pushed out of bounds by Tua
Wolfgram.
No matter what you call him, Freddie, Frederick, he's still got those legs that are going to take him wherever he wants to go.
Sounds kind of like a TV show name, Freddie, Frederick.
Sometimes when you're watching him run, it feels like you're watching a TV show. He's explosive out there.
Got that football movie ends with the awesome going for it on the 4th down, catch it in the state game.
It's only 2nd down and 4 for them here. They're looking to make the state game.
But so is Pleasant Grove. So
it's been a tight one so far in the first half, as the 3rd and final timeout coming from Coach Pierce and the Mustangs sideline with 1:42 remaining here in this 2nd quarter. We'll take a break with them. Vikings up 7, but the Mustangs on the move. We'll be back in Pleasant Grove. Vikings up 14-7, but Teai and the Mustang offense on the move. 2nd down and 4 from the 40-yard line, as Teai is going to have Parker in the backfield with him, with 1:42 remaining here in the 2nd quarter and the first half. Vikings show a rush of just 4. Now they're kind of showing 5, and they do bring 5. The pass out in the flat again to Parker, and a great tackle by Sean Cottle as Trevin Gates and Bronco Winterton come in to help him finish it off. It's going to be 3rd down and 1. It's the same situation. They give Parker the pass in the flat. Good read by Teai to just take the yards he's given. And now a big 3rd down and 1. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on
Blitzing?
I'd bet on a blitz. I'd bet on a screen now that I see that Pleasant Grove is blitzing. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Teai try and take off with his legs, as he is going to try and take it off. And he's going to get brought down, but he's going to get the 1st down. A big push with 1:03 remaining in the 2nd quarter. Freddie Teai. They called him Teai, but I think it's Teai.
We've been saying it Teai the whole time. Teai is what they just said it as.
Again, no matter what you call him, Freddie, Frederick, Fred, Teai. He's been great for this Herriman team so far. As they send Parker in the flat again, as Trevin comes out to guard it.
Gets kind of tripped.
Looking for the end zone. Double coverage, and he finds a man.
Goodness. What a throw.
What a throw to Noah Malloy. I was wondering when we'd call his name for the first time, and here it is for 6. Just a great pass. Man, that's just Noah Malloy going up and taking what is his. That was great coverage by the Vikings corners. It was 4 men, 2 Vikings, 2 Mustangs in the same spot, and a risky throw by Teai, and just a great play by Malloy to go out and make the play. So here is Hagan. Now that his kick is through, I can bring this up. He is 41 for 41, now 43 for 43 on the season with PATs. So
that math didn't add up, but sure.
Well, he's kicked 2 today.
Oh, yes, okay. That makes sense.
So neither kicker has missed a PAT this season.
Really, it's not very difficult to hit the PAT once you're like at that kicker level, though.
Okay, I was gonna say I went out today during lunch actually, and we were putting some kicks up, and it's hard. I took 1 PAT and I kind of did that line drive. I just tucked it in the bottom right corner, but that's
as like a kicker that's been like learning kicking the whole time. You know, most of the time it's just a soccer player that is signed up for the football team as well, but they always do a good job. So
yeah,
glory to them.
It's still a 14-point game in Lehigh as Skyridge is up 21-7 now against the Phoenix. As Pleasant Grove's got 32 seconds, and if they can't do anything in those 32 seconds, they'll give the ball back to Herriman after half with a chance for Herriman to go up a score. As Hagan kind of squib kicks it. Pleasant Grove's just going to let that bounce into the end zone. No, he's going to take it. It's Cale McCoy. He's going to try and cut outside. Now he's going to cut up the field just
Almost
past the
gets
20-yard
through
line. Burns about 7, I'm going to say 6.5 seconds off the clock, 25.6 remaining. As if I was the coach, I'd bring Rasmussen and the offense out to take 1 knee and head to the room, but you never know. Carson loves to take shots and be aggressive, so doesn't look like they are going to take a knee. It looks like they're going to take some shots. So 25.6 remaining. They might just run the ball and see if they go anywhere, and that looks like what they'll do, as it's going to be a gain of about 5 on 1st down. And I think that's going to take us into halftime. We're knotted up at 14. We've got 2 quarters left to play to decide who moves on in the 6A state championship. The Vikings and the offense kind of stalled a little bit in that game. The defense played as well as you could ask them to, as Herriman also having a great game so far. Freddie Teai has played out of his mind, been so good on the ground, and then he's made some really, really beautiful throws. We're not up at 14 going into halftime. As we head into halftime, I'd like to direct your attention to your screen if you're not already going there, as there's a QR code now on the stream that will take you directly to a PayPal where you can donate to our PGSN program. This money will go directly back to us and is spent on merchandise, upgrading equipment, and allowing students, including me and Jack that you have been hearing all day today, to travel to Georgia this winter to broadcast the Vikings out-of-state basketball tournament. There are also options for companies or individuals to promote and broadcast commercials on our streams. If you are interested in this option, and only if you are interested in this option, email Russ Mayo, whose information is on the screen. We'd like to thank you for your continued support of PGSN. I absolutely love doing this. I'm a senior, so depending on the outcome of this game, this could be my last football game that I will do here. Jack has one more year. Lucky for him.
I've also been here one more year than Alan has. I was here as a freshman, and he joined as a junior, so I got as soon as when I'm done with my senior year, I would have done it for 2 more years than Alan. But
as now we have a halftime show by the drill and the cheer team.
Hope you guys enjoy. We are going to mute our microphones because you don't want to hear us commentate this.
Welcome to the field of Osborne Cheer Squad. The cheer team is coached by Shelby Hooley and Indy Robinson.
As that was the drill and the cheer team's performance here for the Vikings. As we're going to take a quick break It's about a minute break, and then we'll be back with an in-studio halftime show for you guys. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere during halftime. Unless you're grabbing a little bit of popcorn, grabbing some snacks for what we're hoping to be a really, really good second half. As we welcome you to our studio, you can kind of see what a mess we're working with here. But something that hasn't been a mess on this field has been either team, really. Both of them have looked really good. Just to let you guys see our faces a little bit, I'm Alan Judson.
I'm Jack Barnard.
We've been bringing this game to you today with the producer for today's game, Sheldon Sweet, is working the camera. As you can see it moving just a little bit. We'd like to thank him kind of stepping in a little bit last minute to run this for
Maybe he
us.
could step into frame for a second. You want to say
come
hi
in,
to the
come in.
camera? Come here, Sheldon. Come here.
This is Sheldon.
First time on air. Turn around. This is our boy Sheldon. He's
been doing producer today's first time. I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, me too. And we have our highlight taker, GK Jarrett, if he would like to step into the frame real quick.
He drops some heat. This is at GK
Films.
At GKJ.films, right? With a Z. Films with a Z. So if you want to follow him on Instagram, see what Pleasant Grove
He's making absolutely fire edits for our program here at PGSN. This is your head commentator, Jack Barnard.
Nope.
And
nope. I was voted in as head commentator recently, but it's been a salty subject. So
that is not true, really.
How about we talk about the first
We'll
half?
talk
Pleasant
about
Grove is tied with Herriman 14-14. Carson Rasmussen with a little bit of like a slower half than what I would have expected from him. Just kind of dormant a little bit. He hasn't been as explosive as you expected. I think he's maybe been a little bit scared to kind of go with that knee and kind of do what he's been doing with that knee all season. But, you know, that arm's been working out a little bit. Overthrew Bronco, and he overthrew, it was Mackay, I believe, on some deep routes. They were both wide open, and then Mackay Peterson, I guess, dropped a touchdown or stepped out of bounds.
I think that it really was just a step out of bounds. He didn't really land there quite right. But like seeing how he's playing, like I mean, you said he's not as explosive. He had a rushing touchdown from the 20-yard line. He ran around all of the Herriman players and made it. He doesn't look official with this. Don't lie to yourself. I'm just kidding.
Stats on that I wanted to talk about. So for Pleasant Grove, their touchdowns were scored by Carson Rasmussen to Sean Caudle. It was about a 12-yard touchdown in the first quarter, and then the 20-yard rushing touchdown, as you were talking about, Jack, in the second quarter for Rasmussen. And then for the Mustangs, it was Te'ai with the 18-yard touchdown in the first quarter to open up the scoring, and then right at the end of the second quarter, it was Te'ai to Noah Malloy with a big touchdown to make the score 14-14, which is where we're sitting. Herriman will receive the second half kickoff. What do you think Herriman can do on their first offensive drive to set the tone and really maybe win themselves this football game?
Well, optimally for them, they'll score on the first drive of the game or the second half, and they'll be able to make it a one-score game and then hopefully shut down Pleasant Grove and Carson as much as they can. But realistically, I think that even if they do score, Carson has 2 more quarters to score. He will be able to do it. He's a very talented quarterback, and he has just, like we were saying, a plethora of receivers, just way more than Nick Staffieri had last year in pretty much just Sean Caudle and Cannon Hill. There obviously were more, but those were the 2 guys that were hit most often. I mean, this year you got Mackay Peterson, Bronco Winterton, Cale McCoy, Sean, and of course,
Tanner
James
Blake's
Clark.
been good. James Clark.
Yeah.
A lot of talent in this Vikings receiver room. Something I wanted to point out is Herriman's scoring differential on the season is plus 32. So they've scored 32 more points than they've allowed to their opponents. Pleasant Grove's 119. So Pleasant Grove, I mean, obviously they won 3 more games, but they've been winning these games pretty handily. Obviously that was started by a 41-21 win against Granger, a 40-14 win against Weber. Some big wins to start the season against lower 6A, high 5A opponents. But like Herriman has not had an easy schedule by any means. Their season high is 52 points against Riverton. We'll see if the scoring kind of turns up a little bit. A fun fact for you guys, though, Herriman's lowest scoring quarter is the 4th.
Really?
So this is a team that starts to slow down in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Pleasant Grove's lowest scoring quarter is the 3rd quarter, but not by a lot. They usually hit about the same points per quarter. They have 7 in each quarter. Today, both teams do, matching each other's scoring total. I'd expect Carson Rasmussen and this Vikings offense to come out firing in the 3rd quarter. I expect a lot of deep shots, a little less of running the ball. That's kind of I don't want to call it boring.
It's kind of a theme this so far, and you see that like they just aren't running it as much, especially with Aiden Franson being out. Just like they were running it with Matt Morris quite a bit there on that one drive that turned out not to turn into anything, but then it turned into a 3-and-out for Herriman, and then it turned into a touchdown for us. So
yeah, so I'd expect, like I said, the Vikings to come out firing, but a guy I haven't seen run the ball as much as I expected is Tua Wolfgram.
Yeah.
He had 9 rushes for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. I just don't understand why you turn away from that in this game early. Another big standout for Pleasant Grove last week, Tanner Blake, 5 catches for 107 yards and 1 touchdown. Ultimately, neither of those guys have really had big first halves, and that's been partly how Herriman has been running their defense and how they've really just given Pleasant Grove short yardage. They've let them get 3 or 4 yards on a run, and they've given them short passes underneath, and Pleasant Grove's been willing to take that, but not the explosive offense we expected from this Pleasant Grove team. Whereas Herriman, they've had a couple big shots to Noah Malloy, a big one to Caden Hansen in the 1st quarter. So I'd expect both of these teams to kind of come out maybe being more willing to take deep shots in the 2nd half.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break here. We'll
from
be back.
his yapping about football, he never lets me speak in these halftime shows. Also, he's barely giving me any room in this frame, isn't he? But
you can see yourself right there.
Yeah, but
you've got plenty of room. Skyridge's up 21-7. I'm sorry I stole that line from you as well.
You know what? I sign off. I'm out. I'm just kidding. But
we will take a quick break. We'll come back with the 2nd half of our halftime show. We'll be back right after this.
To survive, I think, is the main goal. No, I think helping my students understand math better, I think, is always a goal. Personal goals, make $1 million. It might take more than just a year, though. I think. Okay, other than that, my personal goal is to take care of my family, to be a supportive dad and husband, and be there for my kids when they need me. My hobbies, I really enjoy road biking, as well as Texas-style barbecue. So I've got a barbecue pit out back that I don't know if I would teach another subject. I really enjoy biology. But I love math. There's a love for math that I've developed over the years. But if I had to choose another subject, it would be biology. Favorite food is a well-cooked brisket. Best part about PG, I grew up here, so I think just just the culture here. I was always a Viking. There was never a doubt in my mind. It didn't matter where I moved. I would always be a Viking. This is home for me. Hiking, definitely. Skiing does not work for me. Swimming, I mostly just sink, so it'd be hiking. Favorite sport, definitely miniature golf. You can't go wrong with mini golf. Favorite class to teach is secondary math 2. I think it's you know, this introduction to a lot of really cool concepts and ideas and these relationships between different relationships between, for example, perimeter and area of a shape, or this quadratic function. I think are really cool.
So the second half of our Vikings pregame show, we've got about 4 minutes until the second half will begin. Pleasant Grove looking to come back and kind of have themselves a second half and give themselves some momentum in what they hope will be a quarterfinal game against Skyridge or Farmington next week. And Herriman's vying for a big upset against this Pleasant Grove team. So, Jack, in the first quarter,
Yeah,
big plays from both sides.
absolutely.
And we kind of saw a little bit of, hey, we'll let you take short throws underneath. That's kind of what the philosophy changed to for these defenses. We'll let you take short throws underneath. You can have 3 to 5 yards and then kind of slow it down. Second quarter, kind of a lot of the same story, but both teams had great long sustained drives to go down and score. Herman did a great job to end off the second quarter, ending it off with a touchdown, giving themselves a chance to take the lead.
Yeah, and, well, I'm kind of distracted because the camera was, like, tilting a little bit, but that's all. But what I was thinking about in the first quarter is that both teams had a 3-and-out twice before anything happened.
Yeah, to open it.
And then Tei did go down and score before Pleasant Grove ended up going and scoring with that pass to Bronco, which was absolutely amazing. I loved that, seeing that, and seeing the production by the Pleasant Grove offense.
Yeah, Tei did a great job with his legs in that first half, and that's something Pleasant Grove's going to have to take out of this game if they want to win it. But I think Carson's another guy who could get involved with his legs. Last week, this Herriman team allowed 100 yards in only 10 attempts to Isaac Wilson. So that includes sack yards. So unless Isaac didn't get sacked at all, it could be a big, big game for Carson if he starts to get on the ground. We're going to cut you back to the game. The kickoff for the second half is about to happen. Rockwell Doman for the Vikings. As we get we get situated a little bit more as Rockwell Doman, well, the whole Vikings kicking team is ready, but this Herriman team is kind of still on the sideline looking for a little bit more guidance from Coach Pierce. As Doman and the Vikings looking to start the second half off with a bang. I'm not saying they'll kick an onside kick, but looking to get a 3-and-out or a quick defensive series for their team. As now Herriman is ready to start the second half, and the Vikings are ready to start the second half. We're ready to start the second half. We hope you had enough time during halftime to get ready to start the second half. Grab some treats, grab some popcorn, grab some water, because we've got a good game
Get some grub
ahead of us.
You like pregame grub, postgame grub. How about during the game grub?
And personally, 'tis the season for Sprite Cranberry as Rockwell Doman
Yes,
pops
of
that one
course.
up. It's going to be fielded at about the 13-yard line by the Mustangs, and he's got green grass.
And he's going to be brought down.
Cutting, weaving, jumping. Bridger freeze with the kick return, I believe. Oh, excuse me, that was Caden Hansen. As Herriman, Tei, and the offense have great field position to start at the 35-yard line, as now the refs are having a discussion. I didn't see any flags. They've had a couple discussions that we just really have no clue why. as after the play was over, there's a personal foul on the Mustangs. I never saw a flag, and I don't think Herriman even knows the call was made. But they get pushed back 15, so what was a great return gets moved to the 20-yard line for Te'ai, as now he's got 80 yards to go instead of what you originally thought was 65. I'm wondering if that changes the play call for Coach Pierce, as I'm excited to see what adjustments Pleasant Grove has made defensively at halftime. As ace formation, meaning 2 wide receivers on both sides for Te'ai, and then he's got Parker on his right hip. Sends a man in motion. Te'ai is going to take the snap. Option play. He's going to keep it himself. Confuses a couple Vikings, but ultimately gets pulled down by Tua Wolfgram.
Person who went in motion
as there's a Viking injured. It is Lucas
Kuhn.
It's Thatcher Kuhn. You are correct, Jack. It is Thatcher Kuhn, as we're going to take the camera off. We don't like to show injuries here on the stream. As
you will just
Thatcher
get
Kuhn is a big piece for this Vikings defensive line. Levi Bezant went down against American Fork. Thatcher Kuhn is now down, and he is and was writhing in pain. We hope he is okay. Not only because of the loss it would be for Pleasant Grove, but especially just for this young man and what he is looking to do. He's a senior.
I mean, you always look and you see like the people like on the field. It doesn't matter how big of a rival you are. As soon as someone goes down, the whole game is set aside. It is all about.
He is up and limping, but on mostly his own power. He's favoring that left leg, as now he's kind of walking even on both legs.
Could be able to return in the fourth. Maybe just go to the trainer's table and get iced a little bit, and we'll see from here. So here's Te'ai sitting with trips on the right, single on the left.
Te'ai in the shotgun. He's going to take the snap. Quick pass, now he's going to take it himself, something we saw so much, and Matyra Brown makes the tackle. Te'ai is just so good at what seems like such a basic thing, but just falling forward is so big for him and so big for this Herriman team. It's given him 2 or 3 extra yards on almost every play.
Yeah, he gets his balance kind of taken away from him, but then he takes a huge dive to get the first down with ease. So
there's Te'ai. He's going to be alone in the backfield now. Quick pass screen. Great penetration by the Vikings corners. It's going to be a gain of 3, maybe 4 on first down to make it 2nd down and 6. This Herriman offense is kind of doing whatever they want with the football.
As this October 27th night begins, and we are sitting here at 46 degrees. So much cooler than any other game has been this season so far.
Well, that Lehigh game a couple weeks ago was nasty.
I'm pretty sure it was probably around 47 46 as well. So we're looking at the same amount of coldness, but Allen also was sick that week. So.
And I didn't have a jacket on. Here's Te'ai sending a man in motion. He's going to take the snap, keep it himself, and roll out left immediately. Got a Viking on his tail. Now he throws across the middle. He's caught by Caden Hansen, who gets brought down by Riker Mickelson. This Vikings defense is...
Maddox Webb couldn't
there's a late
quite
flag
get to him.
At about the 43-yard line. I think it's going to be an ineligible receiver downfield. I think there was an offensive lineman who took his block too far downfield, and it is an ineligible receiver downfield. So that results in a 5-yard loss and the play not mattering for Herriman. And for those who don't know what an ineligible receiver downfield is, it's a little more complicated than this, but it's basically when an offensive lineman gets about 3 or more yards downfield before the pass is thrown. That is against the rules, and it's what cost Herriman 5 yards and a big play by Te'ai.
That was, Maddox Webb that missed the tackle there. I don't know if I said that already, but it was number 45, a number that you haven't really seen much of this season. But
I think he's replacing Thatcher Kuhn, who is not on the medical table or the bike. So as now he heads over there, still limping a little bit, but jogging and looking good. As Te'ai starts to roll out right, takes a quick pass over the middle, and it's caught. At the sideline, Te'ai is carving up this Vikings defense. It's concerning. It was Noah Malloy on the catch, his second catch of the day, both of them for over 10 yards. As more injury news for Pleasant Grove, Mason Jensen, who also went down earlier in the season, is back this
Mason
week.
Anderson.
Mason Anderson, excuse me. Mason Jensen was our backup quarterback.
He is
as
now
Te'ai on the option.
There's Maddox Webb again giving pressure, but is brought down. That was number 33, Makari Parker for Herriman.
It's a gain of 3 for Pleasant Grove. These are games that feel, for Herriman. These are games that feel small. It ends up being a gain of 2. But they build, and they've built on this Pleasant Grove team. The defense is fatigued. They've been on the field a lot, and they've kind of been having the ball pounded down their throats, and it's been working for Herriman, so they've continued to do it. I think Te'ai needs to be contained. I'd expect a quarterback spy or something with Trevin or Tua, but it feels like something we haven't seen. As Trevin is on the quarterback spy, and he kind of misreads it. Now there's a host of Vikings, but Te'ai falls forward. I'm not sure how he continues to do it.
That truly is quite the talent that you were saying earlier.
It's something I was talking about earlier this season, just with some friends, that's really what I've noticed has set apart Power 5 programs from Group of 5 programs in college football, is you'll see in Power 5, their players, whether it's running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, they always find a way to fall forward and get an extra 1 or 2 yards. And that's what Te'ai has done today. As sending Parker in motion, he's going to take the snap, fake the pass, and
Te'ai gonna make it down, avoiding tackles, breaks that tackle, breaks another tackle
inside the 10. Tyra Brown fumbled, but it falls out of bounds. Te'ai kind of holding his face mask. You have to hope he's okay. He's been electric.
Smacks the crap out of the ball out of Te'ai's hands, Tyra Brown, but obviously falling out of bounds is still gonna be
just
first down.
A big gain.
Huge for the Mustangs.
As he has been so good, Freddie Te'ai. The offensive line, if I'm being completely honest, has gotten away with a couple holds, but none of them have been too egregious that you have to be upset over it, because they haven't called Pleasant Grove for a ton of holds either. It's just been a officiated game that's been called the same all around. As there's a corner. They try the fade pass in the end zone to Malcolm Johnson, a big guy. As it's defended well by Gabe McCoy. Fix the settings on the camera. As 15 on the play clock, 7:41 in the third quarter. Te'ai in shotgun, sends a man in motion, takes the snap, takes off by himself. It's an option play. He's going to take it himself and get stopped. Once again, he was kind of falling forward, but there was a Viking defensive back who got in his way to keep him from getting too far forward. It's 3rd and goal from about the 1-yard line. You'd have to expect again that this is 4-down territory if they fail to convert on this play. But I've actually been kind of disappointed how Herriman hasn't turned to the air as much as I was hoping they would. Te'ai has a really good arm. And I think just as a fan, I wanted to see them try to air it out. But what they've been doing is working, and they're going to stick with it until Pleasant Grove shows they can stop it. And now Coach Pierce is going to come in and call his first timeout of this half. As Pleasant Grove is going to try and draw something up defensively that will work. Just this Pleasant Grove defense, especially, I've noticed since the coming out of the half, has just been Te'ai's doing whatever he wants to him.
Yeah, and really what I'm thinking here is that they call this timeout because it was what the defense was looking like it was about to do was kind of like Riker had an opening a little bit for the blitz, and he was going to break through and be able to get Tei down. And so I think that Coach Pierce just kind of saw that, decided to take the timeout. You know,
Yeah, I'm expecting.
all to it. You know, like 7 minutes with the third quarter. Like, it's not a bad time to take a timeout necessarily.
Yeah, these 6 or 7 points would be big for Herriman. As Tei's out, and he's been doing it all with only 5 men on the offensive line and 1 running back in the backfield, so he hasn't had extensive protection. They send a man in motion. As Riker, as you said, breaks through, and the Vikings bring Tei down for a loss for what feels like the first time today. But it's going to be 4th and goal from the 3. That's a big play.
Had movement over from Noah Mulby. And
they're going to kick the field goal. Herriman's just going to take the points. It's going to be the distance of a PAT. It's going to be a 20-yard kick. And as I was saying earlier, Hagan hasn't missed a PAT. He has missed 2 field goals on the season. But he is 43 for 43 in PATs. So this is basically another one of those. As I think the Vikings will just, as Hagan punches that one through. So it's going to be 17-14. Mustangs take the lead with 6:16 left in the third quarter. Vikings, obviously this is why you play football. They need to go down and score.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that we're going to see that through what we talked about at halftime. We haven't seen the Vikings offense retake the field yet.
It was an amazing job by the Vikings defense to make the stop there on 3rd down to hold them to 3 points, because if you go down, you score the touchdown. Obviously, that puts you up. That gives you the lead.
Yeah.
Not only, obviously, I'm kind of saying stuff that is pretty easy to figure out, but if you go down, you let them score a touchdown, then you score a touchdown, you're tied. Whereas this gives you a chance to take the lead, and if it comes down to it and you're in this situation with 3 or so minutes left in the fourth quarter and you're only down by 3, because of that stop, you have the chance to go down and win the game on a drive. So holding them to that field goal was big for that Pleasant Grove defense, and also kind of showing we can stop Tei. I think the corners did a great job on the edge of communicating the man defense, who has who, as Herriman sent men in motion, which is something that teams against Herriman have struggled with this season, is dealing with the motion and figuring out how to continue to defend the pass while also defending Tei's amazing legs. So Pleasant Grove did a great job of it on a big 3rd down, and now they get the ball back only down 3 instead of 7. As a good kick by Hagan is going to go into the end zone. Vikings are going to get a touchback with 6:16 left. Carson and the hopefully rejuvenized Viking offense takes the field.
Plenty of purple Gatorade in their system, and they're going to be able to be able to make some good plays. Purple is the best flavor of Gatorade, debatably.
It is debatably.
Because it is so tasty, but also blue is good.
I like the blue, and I like the clear, the Arctic.
You like clear Gatorade. No, it's white clear Gatorade.
As Carson takes a snap, Vikings are going to stick with the run. There's a little bit of a later hit on Carson, but
my goodness,
just a 1-yard
Matt
gain for Morris. I think I'm no offensive coordinator, but I think the Vikings need to start to air it out.
Yeah.
I think that's what I wanted to see with Tei. I wanted to see him use his arm, and I think that's what the Vikings need to do with Carson, and give him an opportunity to use his really, really good arm. As it looks like that's what they're going to do with an empty set for Carson here. Nobody in the backfield. Rasmussen takes a snap, looks left. He's going to dance around in the pocket, pressured, and he's going to get sacked.
Oh.
It's going to be a gain of 5, a loss of 4 to make it a 3rd down and 13.
It's rough. Every single time I see Carson get sacked, I'm just worried about the knee from a few games ago. 3-9. I don't want to see this drive just end in a 3-and-out here.
It's 3rd and 12.
Actually. It was 3-1 for a second. I don't know what was going on there, but
as now the Vikings bring in 2 running backs, I expect him to go to the air, but give Carson a little more protection in the backfield. Let's talk about why that's important after this play.
Carson takes a snap.
And now he starts to roll out left, even with the extra protection. He's feeling pressured, finds a deep man, and it's incomplete.
My goodness.
Cale McCoy apparently did not do enough to show that ball was catchable, and the Vikings are going to have to punt. Bringing on those 2 running backs is huge, because Pleasant Grove is now only sending 3 men deep, because they have 5 on the offensive line, the quarterback, and then the 2 backers. So that leaves, if Herriman only rushes 4 or 5, that leaves them with, you know, 7 or 6 guys in coverage to only defend 3 guys. So Pleasant Grove losing a little bit of faith in its offensive line today, and it might come back to bite them. If it gets to that point, they're obviously going to have to take the running backs out if it gets to a point where they're down in the 4th quarter, but
They fake the punt and run it.
nope. Here's Gabe McCoy as he sends that one
Boom.
off his left foot.
Sends
and a
it.
sky high. Just a great punt by Gabe McCoy as it starts to roll back a little bit to the
And
35-yard
Not
line.
Matt Morris. He was 23.
It was about a 50-yard punt for McCoy, just under 50.
Dallin Weaver.
As Gabe McCoy's done great all season. He was all region, the first team punter, and then a second team corner. So, I mean, again, this is obvious. Vikings need to stop here. You cannot go down by 2 scores.
A pick 6. I'm predicting it. Right now, we've seen a few interceptions before. We've seen Tua Wolfgram against Skyridge had that amazing jump 360 pretty much interception. It was awesome. So
as here's Tei, who starts to air it out early. He gets hit by Trevin.
And
it's going to be just short of a first down.
Just inches away, barely not there.
So 2nd down and 1. As the Herriman offense looks towards the sideline. And I think there's a whistle somewhere. It looks like Trevin is coming off. I'm not sure why. That's a big loss for Pleasant Grove on 2nd down. Something with his shoulder pad, I think, is where he's pointing, or he's bleeding.
He was kind of putting his hand up towards his helmet on the left side of his head.
I think he's bleeding. It looks like he's getting bandaged up. I expect him to be out on the next play if all is taken care of. I also expect Tei to kind of turn to the ground. The Vikings load up the offensive line. The defensive line. There's 6 people on it. As Tei, it's batted!
Oh my goodness.
Just a great play by Riker Mickelson. That's what the Vikings took the chance on. Herriman sent a man in motion. He was wide open on that screen like they've been all day. And Riker Mickelson did exactly what he needed to and batted the ball down at the offensive line. Pleasant Grove was kind of taking a risk. They were expecting Tei to run it.
Riker a little bit flustered because he thought he was able to recover.
As they load up the offensive line once again. Tei shows sneak. And it looks like he does an amazing job of falling forward and gets it. It's frustrating as a Pleasant Grove fan to see this keep happening, but it's impressive to see what Tei continues to do in the running game. You think he'd, start to get tired a little bit, or
maybe, but maybe he's got some pre-workout on him or something like that.
As a fresh set of downs from the 46-yard line. They're on the negative side of the field. They're just 4 yards away from the timeline. Tei takes a snap. Looks deep.
Trevin Gates
and now he's
going to
take it off.
Not Trevin Gates.
And he gets rocked. Trevin Gates goes high, and I'm not sure which Viking it was, but one of them went low. That could not have felt good.
Thatcher Kuhn is back out there, by the way, guys. Number 58. He's out there. He was fighting on his position of the lineman. I did say Trevin Gates on accident, though.
I think the Vikings need to kind of turn to a QB contain. Make Tei throw the ball. And like I said, his arm is really good, but he's definitely beating you with his legs, so test out his arm. Make him beat you with it. As now they run the ball. As Parker's got green grass, Riker Mickelson makes the tackle, but not until inside the 25-yard line. This Herriman team is running all over Pleasant Grove. 2:37 left in the 3rd quarter. Herriman up 3 and knocking on the door once again. This has been a frustrating game for Pleasant Grove's defense. And at the 25-yard line, Tei in the offense. Vikings need a turnover or to hold them to a field goal once again. Just some kind of life after the offense didn't help them out by going 3 and out after their last stop. As Tei He's going to take the snap, take it himself, cut it back outside.
Spin move. Brought
Almost
down
broke a
by
tackle,
the jersey, it looked like.
but Matyra Brown held on to make it 2nd down and 8. You just have to think, you just have to be confused as to how there's not a linebacker whose job is Tei, whose job is just to be on Tei.
I don't really know. They got their line of 4 right now.
As here's Tei taking the snap. He's going to hand it off to Parker. Parker almost gets brought down from the back by Trevin Gates, and that's a big missed tackle. Would have been a no gain to make it 3rd down and 8. Now it's 3rd down and short, and Herriman's playbook is wide open. If they do mark him short,
They keep running him. They keep running Parker, and it's just working so well for the Mustangs. Whenever the Vikings really try a run, it's just not working, not nearly as well as it's working for Herriman right now.
As here's Tei, big 3rd down for this Pleasant Grove team. Sends Rivers in motion, Parker, excuse me, and now they're going to find him in the flat. Trevin Gates, he drops it. No whistle was blown, but the Vikings don't jump on, well, the Vikings didn't jump on it. That might have been a backwards pass. We'll look at a replay, see if we can see anything. Tei is going to make the throw from about the 21-yard line. He might step back, just watch him. And yeah, from just behind the 22-yard line, and I think that was a backwards pass. I think they should have kept that play alive. But the ref had a sideline view straight on, so hopefully he made the right call.
Yeah.
As it's going to be 4th down and about 2. If the ball goes anywhere but Tei, I have no clue what Herriman's thinking as they're going to take the snap and a late timeout comes in. That's Coach Pierce's 2nd of the quarter. If Pleasant Grove can keep this one close, these timeouts in the 3rd quarter might come back to cost them a little bit. It's just been so frustrating to watch this Pleasant Grove defense kind of crumble before our eyes today. They've been playing amazing all season. To open up the year, they shut out Farmington, and then they had only 14 points allowed against Weber. Like, the first team to score more than 20 was Granger, and then they didn't allow 20 points again until American Fork in week 8. So this is it's a Pleasant Grove team who let up 20 or more points one time in the first 7 weeks, and then they've allowed 20 or more every week for the last 3. And which has partly been to the loss. As you can see, that American Fork game was when they lost Levi Bezant. That was a huge loss, and what you can't see on that graphic is that Skyridge game did go to overtime.
And we just scraped by in that game. It was
a lot of Carson Rasmussen heroics that he couldn't come up with against Lehigh. He was put in a tough situation.
And on the final play, throwing to Sean through an interception.
4th and 2. Tei. He's going to take the snap. He's going to look to pass. Good coverage. It's incomplete. I don't see any flags. A good stop by the Vikings defense, and I don't know what Herriman was thinking. Vikings had great penetration on both sides of the line, so Tei couldn't take off himself, but that's a couple questionable calls on 4th down. There was one a couple weeks ago against Mountain Ridge. As I was watching that game, I don't understand why they ran the play they did. They ran a crosser route against zone on 4th and 6 that just did not work at all. The Darts are up 17-13 on the Warriors, as that is a game that started at 5 o'clock. That's why we keep updating you so much, because it's close to being final. As Rasmussen in the offense. Rasmussen's going to air it out. And now he's going to try and run, and he gets sacked.
Just barely gets sacked.
It's
by Samoa Brown.
Frustrating for this Vikings defense, and it's been frustrating for this Vikings offense to see what they've done so far. American Fork is making light work of Westlake. Vikings go hurry up. Try and find the Mustangs a little discombobulated. Bingham is beating Syracuse by 16 in the 3rd quarter. Rasmussen finds his backer. He's going to get the yards back they lost on the sack, and just a couple more. It's going to be about 3rd down and 6, so 3rd down and manageable.
With 10 seconds to go
in this 3rd quarter. We'll see if Pleasant Grove will snap it before time runs out. They've got about 5 seconds.
3,
Rasmussen.
2, 1. He's going to call a hard count, and then it's going to end.
So that's the end of 3. It's 17-14. Mustangs lead the Vikings. The Vikings are looking for a crucial 3rd down conversion to open up the 4th quarter. We will be back here on PGSN in just a second. As we begin the 4th quarter with Jack clearing his throat. It's the Mustangs 17, Vikings 14. I'm not sure why the camera's not on the ball, but
It was a poorly timed. I think that we've just done like a trade out for our cameraman.
3rd and 6 as the offensive line jumped, so it's going to move Pleasant Grove back 5. That's just another frustrating thing. Carson's frustrated with it. You come out of the 4th quarter break, the 3rd and 4th quarter break, and the first thing you do is take an offensive false start. It puts you behind the chains, gives you a bad game script, and Pleasant Grove's going to have a big play here on 3rd down. As Rasmussen is going to try and make some magic happen. He calls an audible and sends Bronco Winterton over. As another flag and another false start on Pleasant Grove.
So we're going to be back 10 yards. It's going to be 3rd and 20.
What was a 3rd and 6 becomes a 3rd and 16 for this Pleasant Grove team. I didn't see anyone jump, but
me
the
neither,
ref on the
but
far sideline did.
I am looking through 2 windows right now, so.
Yeah.
Got a window to the next section of the press box, as well as their window to the outside.
So the 4th quarter clock hasn't started, and Pleasant Grove has already backed themselves up 10 yards. Kind of feels like the story of the game so far. Rasmussen sends Winterton in motion.
We're just going to have to do a huge pass here. Not necessarily Hail Mary, but really
Rasmussen
long.
drops back quickly. They run a screen to Sean Cottle. Sean Cottle makes a man miss. He's going to have to make a lot more than that miss as he gets just inside the 20-yard line to get back the penalty yardage they lost. So it's going to be a 4th down and 6. As Pleasant Grove's going to give the ball back to the Mustangs, and it's going to be on the defense again to make a stop.
It'd be super inadvisable to go for it. So
you're just hoping for an amazing punt off the left foot of Gabe McCoy here. As he gets the snap and does get it off his foot sky high. And fair catch called at about the 39. They're going to give him the 40. I think they might be giving him an extra yard, but can't be too nitpicky. 11-17 left here in this ball game. Herriman's up 3, looking to chew clock and probably take a lot of time and score some points here. Just, I've said it a lot, but just a frustrating game so far from this Pleasant Grove team. They're going to have to turn it up in the 4th quarter for the season. You know, the season's on the line for both of these teams. Win or go home.
Yeah, and that just adds a whole nother layer to it. I mean, even if this was just the regular season, it would be huge for either team. But yeah, with the season on the line, being down 3 in the 4th quarter, we're sorry if our camera keeps going back and forth.
Vikings show pressure, and it works. It's going to be a loss of 6 on 1st down. That's a great way to start it. It's going to be a loss of 4 or 5. Not sure which ref to. It's going to be a loss of 5. Loss of 4. So the refs can't decide where to spot the ball. But a great way to start out that drive for Pleasant Grove as it was Jake Clausen. Oh, excuse me, Hewitt McBride that had an amazing play as he gets subbed off. as it's trips on the left side for Te'ai and this Mustang offense. Sends Parker in motion. Te'ai takes a snap, looks Parker's way, and he's closed on quickly. He drops the ball, and the whistle's blown incomplete. That's the second screen pass they've tried to throw to Parker. That's the second screen pass he's dropped.
So that it's not a fumble.
It's not a fumble unless the pass goes backwards. So it's going to be 3rd down and 14. I don't think Pleasant Grove's happy about either of those calls saying it didn't go backwards. But you're happy with the 3rd and 14 here, keeping Herriman backed up. Not all you have to do, but one of the main things on this play is just going to be containing Te'ai. That's been the story of the game so far, as Tanner Blake is very tight on the receiver at the bottom of your screen. Vikings show blitz, they do blitz. They bring Blake from the corner. Te'ai's dancing, Te'ai gets brought down. The Vikings defense comes up huge. It's been a couple games since I've been able to say that, and it is going to be 4th down and very long for this Mustang team. That's got to put some fire in your offense. You got to get the ball downfield. You got to take the lead on this next drive. Vikings force a 3-and-out. Just played that to perfection. I think blitzing Tanner Blake off that corner was the perfect play call.
It was.
Nobody
truly.
picked him up. Parker didn't grab him as the backer, and the right tackle didn't read the blitz. So just another great punt by Herriman, as Cale McCoy is going to have to let it bounce. And of course,
giant Herriman bounce.
A big
to the
break, a bad break for
7-yard
Pleasant
line.
Grove.
My goodness.
As Carson Rasmussen in this offense, regardless of the 3-and-out, like that is I think that's a 60-plus yard punt. Just an amazing kick by the Mustangs. You know, I knew Mustangs had some legs, but I thought that was all speed. I didn't know that was just strong kicks from this Mustang team today, and that puts Carson Rasmussen in this Vikings offense in an unfavorable situation once again, but they're starting to run out of tries. They're going to have to make either a big play or go home unhappy, as Carson takes a snap. He's going to throw. Now he's going to dance around, taking himself. A flag's thrown as Carson gets the 1st down, trucks a man. It's going to be a gain of about 15. We'll see what that flag is.
Someone was holding on to his leg when he tried to get up.
And the Vikings are pretty sure it's on their offensive line. They've already gotten back to the original line of scrimmage. But the refs are having a little bit of a discussion, so maybe Pleasant Grove will catch a tiny bit of a break. Depends on what this call is, and we have the call now. It is a holding. Oh, no, it's a penalty on Herriman. I think it was a holding on Herriman, and so they're going to decline that penalty. Oh, they still get the yards.
Huh.
Shows you how much I know.
Shows even more how much I know. Like, really, my football knowledge next to Allen's.
As Pleasant Grove takes a, they'll take that gain 5 times out of 5. As Rasmussen and the Vikings are not backed up in their own end zone by any means now.
5 for 5, kind of like the original Taco Bell Cravings box.
As Rasmussen takes a snap, throws the screen out to Bronco. Bronco makes a man miss.
Able to get through.
Gets a big gain. He falls forward. Was it enough? It is going to be enough. It's going to be a Viking 1st down. Bronco Winterton with a great play.
Big gainage by the Vikings.
Are starting to turn it up at the 46-yard line. Rasmussen getting ready, sends, I'm not sure if that was motion for Winterton or if that's just where they want him. We've seen a lot more offensive snaps from Winterton. Talk about that in a second. Rasmussen takes a snap. They're going to hand it off, turn to the ground. Wolfgram Zeus, one of his first carries of the game as he gets ripped down by number 43.
That's going to be Luke
Abercrombie.
He's listed twice.
43 and 34 are some numbers we've called a lot for this Herriman team. Someone we haven't called yet is their only 24/7 recruit for this season, Ephraim Asiata. He's a linebacker, and he's crystal balled to the University of Utah, so some talent in that second level for the Mustangs. And now Zeus gets it on! 10-yard gain for Tua, a.k.a. 3-0 Wolfgram, as he gets the Vikings to the 40. I'm not sure why they haven't had him running the ball until now.
3 PETA as far as... Wait, does he have 3 player of the games?
Yes, 2.
2.
As Rasmussen takes a snap, they're going to give it to Morris now. And Morris, he's a little bit more of a bruiser back, gets about 2 yards. Morris is the guy that you put in when you need someone to lower the shoulder and run through a guy, and
Yeah.
Wolfgram's the guy you put in when you need a couple jumps, hops, and skips.
Hop, skip, and jump.
2nd down and 8. You caught my drift.
Every viewer just agreed with me. I'm joking. I have to have one thing on you, Alan. Come on.
As Rasmussen takes a snap, he's looking deep, dancing around, steps up, continues to dance around as he's going to get brought down at the original line of scrimmage. It's going to be a 3rd down and 10.
He had 4 Vikings way out there.
I am scared they will, but I'm really hoping Pleasant Grove doesn't put in the 2 backers to pass protect, and it doesn't look like they will.
Takes Morris out. They're going to have Tanner Blake and Sean on the left, as well as Bronco. They got Kale and Mackay on the right.
They're in a little bit of no man's land. I think it depends on how this 3rd down goes.
It's true.
Rasmussen's empty.
Looks right.
Throws pass. Caught by Kale McCoy, and he turns it upfield. Did he get it?
First down, that's got to be.
And we wait for the signal. It is a first down for Pleasant Grove. Kale
Vikings.
McCoy with a big play. 2 weeks ago against Lehigh, he was frustrated. He had a couple drops. He had a couple catches he could have made. And honestly, if he makes every single one of those catches, the Vikings probably win the game.
That's
but
same
he has
with
come
Sean.
up huge today.
Yeah.
Kale McCoy has been a big piece of this Vikings offense today. As they go empty again, 1st and 10. Herriman's late subbing someone on. Carson throws quickly to Sean. Cottle
run it.
makes him
Almost gets around him down at the 8-yard line.
1st and 10. That's a great open field tackle by Holden McKell. I've said this a couple times this season, but I'm going to say it again. Open field tackles are one of the hardest things to do in football. You've got a receiver who has all his momentum downhill. As Coach Walkenhorse is yelling at Matyra Brown, as I think it's going to
Calling a
Coach
timeout.
Pierce uses his final timeout of the half, I think.
That's got to be his final timeout. It's been 3.
That is his final timeout of the half. So Herriman has no timeouts left. There's 6:35 remaining here in this ball game.
Pleasant Grove still has every single one of theirs.
Yeah, I think Pleasant Grove has done a great job with that, keeping the timeouts. I was expecting them to call one right there. Coach Walk was kind of getting after Matyra Brown. And that's usually when he'll call a timeout, is when they have a little bit of a substitution confusion. But the Vikings also seemed to like the play they had called, because it was not a very long time with those players in the huddle.
Yeah, as I was saying before, Sean Cottle and Kale have had kind of a similar story as you were saying. Kind of, Kale had a frustrating game. He dropped some passes. Sean had a frustrating game. He, on that final play for the Vikings to tie it against Lehigh, it was to Sean. He wasn't able to get it, and then it was intercepted. But obviously Sean had the touchdown. He had a few big catches, and then just barely had that big catch.
And that's not a hit on Sean. Sean had a it was
not
a tough
nearly.
break.
It's mostly to show how him and Kale have had kind of this redemption game.
So here's Rasmussen with Morris in the backfield. They're gonna Rasmussen's gonna keep it, gets it to Matyra. He's gonna be about a yard short.
Not quite. He somersaults in. Some parents thought he was almost there.
1st down and inches.
Inches. Very, very close. We
As
don't
it
use centimeters here in America, so it's
like
going to be, just about like 2 feet.
The Vikings look like they bring out the I formation, and they're not going to. They split some wide receivers out wide. I'm not sure. They went to the I formation for as Carson's going to try and sneak it in, and he gets it. Touchdown, Pleasant Grove. They have a 3-point lead in what's a game that has kind of been felt dominated by the Mustangs.
Yeah.
The Vikings have squeaked out a 20-17 lead. They're looking to make it a little more than a field goal here with Parker Hall on the kick. Vikings, that's a big drive. I mean, again, saying things that are obvious, but that's a huge, huge drive for this Pleasant Grove team to get some momentum back in their favor and get this home crowd back in it.
We got the 3 flags going. The PAT is good. The Black G, the White Viking, and the Grove Street flag as they run across the track in front of the student and parent sections.
So that gives the Vikings a 4-point lead with 5:59 remaining here in the 4th quarter.
After a frustrating Viking 3rd quarter, which you said, I mean, kind of the commentator curse, you said the 3rd quarter is the Vikings' worst quarter.
Well, it's the slowest for both of these teams.
Yeah, well, you said the 4th for Herriman, right?
Yeah, and Herriman squeaked out 3 points in the 4th quarter, I think.
In the 3rd.
It was the third
They've
quarter.
been up. They were up for 17-14 for a long time.
And now the Vikings are going to kick again. Saying things that are obvious, but you're hoping for a big stop from your defense. You've still got all 3 timeouts. Herriman can't stop the clock. They're almost to a point where they can't give Pleasant Grove the ball back.
They
or
can't
Pleasant
stop
Grove's
it
just
with
going to.
0 timeouts.
Yeah, they have no timeouts.
Oh yeah. Wait, I thought you were meaning like if they like run out of bounds. I was like, what? Here we go. Kick
little bit of a pooch
goes
punt. I don't know
to the
why.
10-yard line.
As inside the 25, inside the 30, past the 40, almost to midfield.
Pushes him out of
Caden
bounds.
Hansen gets to the 45 on a big return to open up.
Can't be risking
Herriman's-
it like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Pleasant Grove did that. We know Rockwell Doman has the leg to get it to the end zone.
We really should have. I mean, he got his catch at the 10-yard line and ran it all the way to the 50, getting past tons of different Vikings going after him. And he wasn't even tackled. He was just pushed out of bounds so that he would stop the play.
So now here's Freddie Teai in that dangerous Herriman offense looking to go down and score, take the lead, and then hopefully get a defensive stand. The clock should not be a worry for Pleasant Grove. They still got all 3 timeouts, and 6 minutes left in this game. So if they run the clock and manage the clock correctly, they'll have plenty of time if they do require a last drive to try and go down and win this game. As there's an issue with the ball or some ball or something, but they switched a ball out with Pleasant Grove sideline. It looks like there's already a ball down on the ground. And they just took 1 ball from Herriman's sideline to PG's sideline, and then 1 ball from PG's sideline to Herriman's sideline. So 1st and 10 from the 45. This crowd is now in it. Teai, high snap, pump fake, starts to take it himself, kind of has nowhere to go. And
he's going to be...
Trevin Gates, he gets it off. It's still going to be a loss, but a big play by Teai to take it from a loss of 15 to a
Wow, I
loss of
can't believe he got
3.
that off.
That was
To Drayton Stilson.
so risky.
Name that I haven't called this game.
It was Stilson or Manning. There is 2 number 2s.
Oh,
But
yes.
that's risky because falling down, you don't really know who's in the area. That could have resulted in a pick 6, but it works out for Teai. And like I said, instead of a loss of 15, it's a loss of 3. You're at 2nd and 13 instead of 2nd and 25.
If it was loss 15, that would have been huge for the Vikings. Kind of Herriman lucked out there a little bit.
But also
Someone
just
was
a great
crossing
play
their
by
fingers.
Teai. 2nd down and 13. Teai's alone in the backfield. Pleasant Grove's defensive coordinator wants something. As now Teai starts to take off. Matyra Brown gets a hand on him.
Down.
And that results in a Trevin Gates and Tanner Blake combined sack and a little bit of extracurricular activity.
Yeah, we got someone jumping on top of an already downed player.
It was a Herriman offensive lineman who jumped on top of Tanner Blake. Tanner Blake had his hands on the ball trying to rip it free.
Brock Hammond really, he wasn't happy.
3rd down and 12, playing behind the chains once again is this Herriman team. This would be a big 3rd down stop for the Vikings, as there's 4:20 and counting left in this ball game. Here's Teai. Empty set once again. Takes the snap, throws out wide, screen pass. Matyra Brown is going to make the tackle, combined with 44. That's a number.
44!
We haven't called his name a lot, but he's been all over the field. 44 has been going absolutely wild today, just like he has all season.
Matyra Brown, don't count him out. He's been doing the work on the defense.
And Herriman looks like this is the game. 4th down and 9 from the 46-yard line.
3:47.
Using all those timeouts has come back to bite him. Pleasant Grove is likely going to give him anything underneath, just not let him get to the chains. That's all you have to do. As there's 3:30 and counting. Here's Teai. He's got a man in the backfield with him. Takes the snap, looks right, flushed, and it's caught down the sideline. Just a strike to number 17, Trey Johnson, keeps the Mustangs alive. Just a great play,
barely.
just over the outstretched hands of Tua Wolfgram. As Gabe McCoy's calling for a sub, he's going to get his twin brother, Cale McCoy, to come in for him. I think he's arguing that the pass was incomplete. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no instant replay or anything system. So
You could argue, because it looked like he caught it when he was kind of sliding backwards.
as Parker with the run, as he gets brought down by a couple Vikings. I think what Gabe McCoy might be arguing about is that Johnson's foot went out of bounds before he came back to catch the ball, which would make him an ineligible receiver.
It's difficult to say.
But he might have also been bleeding, or there's a lot of different things that could have happened. But it's 2nd down and 9 for this Herriman team. They've still got 40 yards to go, but that 4th down conversion was huge. 2nd down and 9. Parker goes in motion. I'm expecting him to go his way. It's kind of what they've done all game.
Thatcher Kuhn trying to get around.
As now Tei lives free. He gets hit late. And it's incomplete. Sean Cottle
My
just got
goodness.
his hand in there. It was old
Caden
reliable.
Hansen,
Caden
that
Hansen.
was a huge risk. It was in and out of his hands there. We're going to watch this instant replay here if we can.
As you'll see, Tei, he kind of got hit, and he's down. He's on one knee.
Yeah, you'll get it right here.
Just
in
Sean,
the
get
hand.
that knee in. As that was, Tei is back up on his feet, so that would be a big loss for just this down. They'd have to take Tei out if the refs had blown the whistle. So 3rd down and 9. And now it's the Mustangs who bring in 2 running backs to likely pass protect, as they send them both out into wide receiver positions now as Tei's alone. Vikings show blitz. They do blitz. Quick pass outside.
Thatcher Kuhn almost gets him. Going to
gain.
be brought down by Bronco Winterton, I believe.
It's going to make it 4th and manageable. The Vikings have done a great job on those screen passes of pushing the receivers back inside. If you let the receiver go outside, he's got just the sideline as really the only defender between him and a touchdown. And pushing them back inside pushes them into a horde of Vikings, who ultimately made the tackle to make it 4th down and 3. Yet another play that is huge for this game. 1:50 now left on the clock. And after this, you have to think that Coach Walk is starting to think about using some timeouts. If Herriman converts on this. 4th down and 3, Tei. Trips on his left side. Vikings show blitz. They bring the house. Tei starts to roll out right. And Trevin, he heaves up a prayer. It's incomplete.
Sean
Cottle as Tei and I think it's Thatcher Kuhn are both down on the Vikings
that was
logo
Lucas
at midfield.
Jackson that's down. Trevin Gates was right in front of Fred Tei, and he didn't try to take him down or anything. I don't know.
Herriman
That
put
was
all
a risky,
their eggs.
It was a risky move to let him throw that, but I mean, it went out of it.
Herriman put all their eggs in one basket. They said, this is our last drive. We're going to go down. We're going to score a touchdown with zeros on the clock. We're going to walk off with a win. And now Pleasant Grove just has to not make a dumb mistake, and they're going to win this football game. They can take knees. I don't know why they're not taking knees. They can take knees.
They can? And
they've got the
still win
time.
it?
And Carson's going to take a knee with 1:20 remaining in this ball game. Pleasant Grove's just got to take a couple knees.
How many seconds are taken off per
40.
knee? 40.
And then don't forget the play is also going to take off a couple seconds. And so they have 2 more knees that they have to take. The Vikings escape with a win at home. It's going to be 21-17. Man, this was a lot closer than I think most Vikings fan expected. A lot too close for comfort, if you will.
Oh yeah, well it was looking grim for the Vikings for a while there. All they have to do is knee here. Don't make the same University of Miami mistake. Going to be pushed down.
As now Carson's going to be upset because if you're taking a knee as the defense, it's kind of an unwritten rule that
we have some multiple flags on the play.
Pleasant Grove still just has 1 knee regardless of what happens. But if you're taking a knee, it's usually accepted that the defense just kind of has to accept that they lost. Just play a defensive position. Don't let them run a fake knee. And that's not what Herriman did, and Carson wasn't happy about it. Carson had a late push, and that's what that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty was on. And then there was also an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the Mustangs. On Pleasant Grove, I believe it was Carson. I don't think there's anyone else that you could have called it on but Carson. And then Tala Wong was the Mustang who was penalized. The Vikings still are just 1 knee away from walking out of this game, walking out of this stadium with a win. So they will go to face the Falcons. They'll go to face the Falcons next week. Coverage will start at 6:45
They're going to do a longer snap. Nope, they aren't going to do a longer.
Carson's still under center. I think the refs are saying that each team is just going to let them take the snap, and that's going to do the ball game. As all we have to do now is wait for the clock to wind down. Man, what a game. Herriman played their hearts out. Herriman played just an amazing game. And as I was saying earlier, the next broadcast, the Vikings will face the Skyridge Falcons. That game hasn't gone final yet, but it would take a miracle and a half for Farmington to come back. Our coverage will start at 5:45 p.m. We will travel to Lehigh to take on the Skyridge Falcons. We're going to come in for a quick post-game show. As before we do a quick post-game show, I just wanted to say, just put out kudos to this Herriman team. They played exceptional. This is a Pleasant Grove team who had an amazing season. A Pleasant Grove team who looked better than we've seen them all season, in years, actually. And a Pleasant Grove team that they shut down for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in the end, it was Pleasant Grove who made the necessary adjustments to walk out of here with a win. I think one big thing that Herriman kind of messed themselves up with was calling those timeouts too early.
Yeah, huge mistake. Just like it really did ruin them in this last little bit. They couldn't stop the clock in time, and the Vikings defense really put it to them right at the end, and they were blitzing and they were putting pressure on Frederick Teai, and he just couldn't complete as easily in the end there, and it turned out to be a Vikings win with a turnover by the
turnover on
Mustangs.
downs by the Vikings defense. It was that defense, like you were saying, they started to blitz a little more, and Herriman had done a great job all game. When Teai saw a blitz, or when the coaching staff saw a blitz, they changed to a screen, and it worked so well. And ultimately, with no timeouts left and the clock starting to run out, you can't run those screen passes. And they still ran a couple, but you cannot keep running those screen passes whenever Pleasant Grove brought the house. And it was just a poor clock management that ended up kind of biting Herriman and being the reason that their season ended today. But again, this is not something that I think that Herriman players should go home and hang their hats on, because this is not something they should be disappointed over.
Yeah.
This is something that this is a heart and soul victory for this Herriman team, and this is just, this shows the passion that Herriman football has. They've had a great last couple of seasons, and they had a great season this year too. All you'll see on the record is 5-6, but what you won't see unless you look in on the games is just grit and just hard work and just putting their heart and soul into every single game. So just wanted to start this post-game show out by complimenting Herriman and just the entire team and how well they played. And I want to give an opposing player of the game. Usually we do it where the coach will tell us who he wants, and
we didn't get that this week, but
someone who's excelled in the field and on the classroom. Today I wanted to talk about someone who excelled on the field, Freddie Teai. I mean, it's not really a question that he deserves this victory as the opposing player of the game. Freddie Teai played his mind out with his legs, with his arm. Just did a great job. And then on the Vikings side of the ball, we're not going to crown a PGSN player of the game quite yet, but some players that had a big game.
Who are your candidates?
Number 44, Trevin Gates. Since it's the playoffs, we'll give it to someone who's already gotten it more than twice. 44, Trevin Gates had an amazing game. He played so well. The Vikings defensive line played so well. They adapted and they built that defensive line so well to combat what Herriman did. And I think it was a great job by the Vikings coaching staff to figure out what they could do to beat Teai and this Herriman team. But Trevin Gates is a guy I'm looking at.
I like the take of Trevin Gates. I also am looking at Cale McCoy for huge plays on the offense, as well as Sean Cottle. I'm looking at Sean Cottle. He got his touchdown. He got a few big catches in the first half, and then obviously a huge catch to really bring us to what ended up as that touchdown. But Tyra Brown also played really good, and like he had kind of like the front flip almost into the end zone. It wasn't quite the touchdown, but then they ran it in. So I'm looking at those three guys really, and I was just loving what they were doing with this game, and especially the second half. The third quarter was a rough patch, and it was kind of hard as a Vikings fan. We try to keep it as professional as possible, but really it's hard to hide.
It was hard.
It was hard to hide how disappointed we were feeling during the third quarter, just staying down 14-17.
And that's not only because Pleasant Grove didn't play to the standard that they've set for themselves to play this season, but Herriman played their hearts out. If you're a Herriman fan and you're still watching, we hope that you guys can join us next week as we take on Skyridge. Hopefully you guys can jump on this Pleasant Grove train and kind of root for us throughout the postseason.
Yeah.
Tune into our streams at 5:45 is when we're starting next week. We're going to be at Skyridge. And, man, just a great game of football today. Great game. Carson played just great fundamental football, just kept himself from turning the ball over. Had a couple iffy plays, but the offensive line didn't have, like, the greatest performance. They had him sacked a couple times, and then I was just so frustrated with those back-to-back false start penalties to open up the fourth quarter.
That was a rough patch right there. And every time we see a sack on Carson, it's there's that fear, like, ooh, do we anger that knee again? Because at Skyridge, he got sacked a few times in the fourth quarter, very rough, and he hurt his knee. Ended up pulling out the win in overtime there. But, like, do I say it's a fluke? I wouldn't say it's a fluke.
This Herriman team certainly isn't a fluke.
This Herriman team isn't a fluke either. Like, but that win and, like, here and seeing how Carson has been able to recover from that, but obviously it is a big worry. A different note, I'm pretty sure that if we do win on next week, we go and we start, like, the tournament games in Rice-Eccles Stadium. So that will be the final PGSN broadcast of the 2023 football season.
Football broadcast, yeah.
For football, I mean, they obviously know what I'm talking about at home. That means that there will be one more game that we have our three hidden words. Our three hidden words today were Jumbotron, Huckleberry, and Sprite Cranberry. And
we snuck all three of them in, Jack.
We got Sprite Cranberry. Let's sign off that paper that's all I use it for.
Jack and I were the ones who took the punishment earlier in the season. So if you want to submit words, go to Instagram at _PGSN_. We'll put up a bank for you guys to submit words at some point during the week.
Yeah, and try to make it as difficult as possible.
We like having it's fun. It's fun.
It is fun. We try not to do phrases. Obviously, I think someone put in cranberry or something random, and then we just chose to do Sprite Cranberry because that's funnier, and it's out in stores, and the thirstiest time of the year is awesome, so we love it.
I think we're going to end it off today.
Yeah.
Vikings win 21-17. They'll face the Falcons next week in Lehigh. Thank you for tuning in this week. Again, hopefully you'll join us next week at 5:45 as the Vikings take on the Skyridge Falcons for the second to last time this season. I'm Alan Judson.
And I'm Jack Barnard.
Signing off of PGSN after a Viking victory.